We're back in space covering another Alien movie as we cover the latest entry in the Alien franchise, 2024's Alien Romulus. Let's go.
Flip the switches to maximum amplification as Parker, Dan, and Angela prepare for their operation. With trivia and plot points scrawled across their walls, laughter and debate erupts as the movie's drama calls. The world may call them crazy, minds gone astray, but genius and passion and madness all dance the same way. Now the show begins to rise from its broadcast realm, and you can open your eyes as we dissect that film.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dissect That Film, a podcast that dissects the good, the bad, and the ugly of cinema. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, are my wonderful co-hosts somewhere, wherever I point, they're probably around. Dan and Angela. I've missed you guys.
I'm saving that.
I've missed you. It's been so long.
It has. And I got one thing to say before we get into this movie.
Okay.
And you can cut this if you want. I've seen a lot of things put inside a vagina, but this movie had a first for me.
All right, we're going to get to it. That's not getting cut out.
Yeah!
We got guests. We're back, baby. It's season 3. We're starting it all over again. We got another go here, but we got guests, and we're so happy to have these guests back. One of them is the host of Give Me Back My Action and Horror Movies podcast and B Action. We got Charlie back on the show.
What's happening, brother?
What's going on,
Finally.
man? I know it's been way too long. Way too long.
Yeah.
I don't think you've been on since Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake?
Remake. Yep.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be on with Nate for the original OG,
Yeah.
so I could be spicy on it, but work did not allow me to.
You guys are like Movie Dumpster, where we can never get you everyone at the same time. Like
No.
we get Joe, then we get Sean, then we got Joe and Sean on the last time. So one of these days we're gonna have everyone back.
I
We
don't
had
know if
Nate
you want
on.
all that.
No, I do.
Oh, I do.
I mean, yes, those episodes do run long, but you know what? It's
I
always a
live
great
that
time.
every week. You know that, right? I live it every week.
Oh,
For those people that like, hey, I could take it, and then we clearly can't, but we won't know until afterwards.
all right.
That's right. Someone that has firsthand knowledge with that is also who's with us tonight.
Yes, we have somebody back. She was here not that long ago to talk about The Craft, but now there's new things happening with this next guest. She is one of the co-hosts of the Barrens Hideout Podcast and a new co-host of Give Me Back My Action and Horror Movies. We have Anna back in the house.
What a
What's
lead in.
up?
What a lead in. That made me feel good. I'm happy to be back with new titles behind my
Yes.
name, a fresh start.
I am just envious of both of you. I'm envious of the other guy who's on the Barrens Hideout podcast. He's on the Flicks and Friends podcast. That guy. I'm envious of how many podcasts you guys can do. I can barely keep this one together. All right. It's held up with glue, staples. We're
Duct
holding
tape.
on here. And it's one podcast, but you guys are killing it. Thank you guys for being here to talk about Alien Romulus.
I'm excited.
I know some of Anna's history with this movie and her thoughts early on, but I'm very excited to hear her thoughts for the second go round and for her latest viewing for this episode. So I'm very excited. But Dan and Angela, have you just watched this movie for the first time, like right before we hopped on? So your history is 2 hours ago.
We're fresh out of the chute.
Today.
Fresh out of the sheet. Yeah.
Shoot.
Sheet, whatever. Wipe it off with a
How are we
shirt. I don't know. But we can't.
Well, actually,
should probably
viewers.
should probably display this bad boy for this episode, brought to you by Dustin. From the
Yeah.
Who?
podcast?
I'm mad
Oh,
at him
that
too.
guy. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought
that
it was
guy.
Dennis.
Dennis, Philip.
Derek. Definitely a D word.
Yeah.
Just remember, it's tight. It's tight. Anytime something is good, it's tight.
Hey,
That's
As
the way
do
we like it.
Dustin would
do yourself a solid. That's my favorite.
say.
And he'll say, Anna, do
He's-
yourself a solid
Oh
and
God!
watch this movie.
If you didn't know, the greatest movie of all time, Here for Blood. I have it on that shelf over there somewhere.
Yeah. He'll
Here for
always be
Blood. I
like,
have it.
Yep.
We love Dustin. He's the man. Oh
Yes.
man. So Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez of Evil Dead 2013 fame. We've covered that on the show. Check it out. We actually covered it with Wyatt from Cinema Trip Reviews. We loved it. Us as a collective thought it was a great remake. It did something new with the Evil Dead franchise. And so I think when I found out about him being involved in an Alien movie, I was very excited because it was like we were getting a fresh take on an Alien story, but it's also going to be tied into the Alien films that we love. And I'm, as much as people don't like nostalgic like aspects to movies, I'm okay with it to a degree. And we're going to talk about when it is okay and when it's like, okay, like, the difference. So Anna, what is your history with this movie? It's fairly new, so it's not like most of the movies we're talking about on the show. It's very, very new.
Like you, I was so excited to hear about a new Alien movie, and not only a new Alien movie, but Fede Alvarez is attached to it. I fucking love Evil Dead 2013. I will rewatch that movie. If anybody says, hey, do you want to watch Evil Dead 2013? Hell yes, I do. I'm always down. And I went and saw Romulus in the theaters, and I have trolled that movie ever since. And I have not rewatched it and was not planning on rewatching it. But then Charlie said, hey, Parker invited us on to review Alien Romulus. And I was like, oh, I'm there. I'm there. I got to let this off my chest.
It's burning. It hurts.
It's burning. Literally, it's about to burst.
It's coming out of your chest.
Mhm.
Oh. Let's see what you did there. Charlie, what about you?
I missed this in theater for some weird reason. I just never made it over there. But it's kind of weird. The first time I watched this, I can actually give you the exact day and the exact time. I watched this on January 18th at 9:00. And then at 10:22, I receive an Instagram message. Are you guys down to talk about Alien Romulus on January 28th? And I message back, how did you know that's what I'm currently watching right now? Magic was the response I got. So
Witchy things.
yeah, I watched this less than 2 weeks ago for the very first time.
Wow.
And then watched it again today because I felt like it deserved a second viewing once, the newness of the first watch went over. So yeah, that is my history with this particular movie. But as far as Alien movies, I am surrounded by alien stuff and paraphernalia, and I've lived those movies since I was old enough to watch them. So got a little face hugger. Got your little
I
hugger.
got my little face hugger.
Was that what that is?
Yes.
He's cute.
Yeah. He
Oh.
has been involved in every Alien episode that we've done when we did them a couple years ago. So I figured, to finish
bring
it
him
off
back.
until the Alien show comes out, and I probably end up covering that too. But yeah, I love the Alien franchise. We've covered the Alien franchise. So as soon as I saw Fede Alvarez's name attached to the movie and I saw the first trailer, I was sold. And I went, I think opening weekend, saw the movie, and with that first viewing, I loved it. I saw the flaws, and we're going to talk about the flaws of this movie, as we go through the plot, but I was able to ignore some of them because I think the problem is, and what I've seen on social media is the fact that people will see one scene and that'll ruin the entire movie for them. When the scene they're talking about is not like, it doesn't do much to the rest of the movie. And I'm like, I can just push past that. Oh, is that CG a little weird? Yeah, whatever. But that xenomorph looks fucking cool, man. Like, it looks awesome. And like, some of the characters are cool. Like, and we'll get into it, but I just think some people are looking too deep into this movie when it's just, I think, and we'll talk about so Fede Alvarez, huge Alien fan. Literally, according to the cast, he knows the franchise in and out. He, of course, worked alongside Ridley Scott while making this movie. He actually worked alongside James Cameron to kind of make sure that aspects of the script stay canonically with like Aliens, since it does take place between Alien and Aliens. So he's very involved in the franchise, knowing pretty much everything that has to do with the franchise, including the AVP movies that don't even matter because they're and they're trash. So he loves this franchise, and I think that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because as I'm watching the behind the scenes of this movie, and you're watching like, oh, this is why we did this, and you're like, you should have just said no. You should have said no. That doesn't make sense to this situation. And I bet you guys probably know what I'm talking about to a degree. Maybe a couple things that you guys maybe agree or disagree with. Some lines that are said in the movie, a character that shows up that's not the same character, but it's the same actor in quotations. It's a weird one. This is one of the most divisive films, I think, in the last year. When it comes to this movie, it's either you love it or you hate it. I don't think there's like to me, I've not really seen a middle ground with this. And, maybe we'll have somebody here who's kind of in the middle, who knows. But as for the cast and crew, we have Fede Alvarez as the director. He also wrote it with Rodo Siagas, produced by Ridley Scott, of course. And of course, Walter Hill's name is attached to it, as he is involved with every Alien movie. Our cast, we have Kaylee Spiney as Rain Carradine. She was in Civil War also in 2024. What else was something else she was in that was big? I don't know if it was last year, something within the last like 3 or 4 years.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She was in Pacific Rim Uprising.
Oh boy.
Oh, she was Priscilla Presley in the Priscilla movie.
That's right.
With Jacob Elordi, and he played Elvis. That's what it was.
We have David Johnson as Andy. And I think this is the first time I've ever seen him in anything. He's in a show on HBO called Industry. That's all I really saw him. Archie Renault as Tyler. He was in Upgraded, which was a Lee Wynell movie. I think what is it? Upgraded? Was that
Upgrade?
Or Upgrade? Okay, not the same thing then. Not what I'm talking about. So I don't really know him. We have Dora the Explorer herself, Isabella Merced, who plays Kay, and Kay and Tyler are brother and sister. Doesn't make sense to me, but okay. And then Spike Fern as Bjorn, a character I feel a lot of people are going to have
that motherfucker
negative responses on. And then we have Eileen Wu as Navarro. We have Daniel Betts, who does the voice of Rook, who is the android that we're going to probably talk about in good detail. The effects were done by Legacy Effects, which a lot of the team at Legacy worked for Stan Winston on the Aliens on Aliens in 1986. So, and that was something that Fede really wanted, was to get people who had worked in the franchise before and bring them on. Alec Gillis was involved, which we've talked about Alec Gillis a lot because he's pretty much been involved with the Alien franchise since Alien 3. We actually covered his only directorial outing, Harbinger Down, which we just released, I don't know, about a month ago at this point. And it's one of those movies that is very effects heavy, but story-wise, kind of. And then Weta Workshop, did a lot of the effects as well. Yeah, they did a lot of the face huggers and the some of the xenomorphs. But
cool.
Yeah, each one of those studios did something different. So like Alec Gillis's team worked a lot with the Chestburster, which is only one scene, but I guess there was a lot that went into it. And yeah, Weta worked on all of the different face huggers because they used, of course they used CGI, but most of it was like puppets, and like they put like RC wheels on the bottom of some of them to like guide them across the floor, and
that's
the
dope.
way they move.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then Legacy did a lot of the xenomorph work.
Weta actually did the effects for Ty West, for X, Pearl, and I believe Maxine too.
Weta has done effects for so much. I mean, they got huge. We did the Frighteners last year, and
Oh, they did
that
those
was
too?
well, that was where they started. So Weta's
Oh.
first movie was the Frighteners before they were huge, and then of course, being involved with Peter Jackson, they moved on to doing the Lord of the Rings, and that's when they blew up.
Oh, nice.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. The music was done by Benjamin Wallfish, who has done a lot of scores over the last decade. Blade Runner 2049, It Chapter 2, Lee Wynell's The Invisible Man. He just did Kraven the Hunter and Twisters. So he actually did quite a few movies in the last 2 years. I'm not going to fault somebody's score, even if the movie is trash, like The Flash. I actually like the score of this movie. I don't know about you guys. I like it's very much paying an homage to the scores of both like Alien and Aliens, and Jerry Goldsmith's score for Alien is probably one of the greatest scores ever. So, hey, go for it. And I love that. Yeah. That choir like chanting that goes on in some of the parts of this movie, really good. It was released August 12th, 2024 in LA and August 16th, 2024 in the United States. It was just a minute short of 2 hours long. Had a budget of $80 million, which is mind-blowing that this movie did not cost over $100 million. With the amount of practical sets, all the practical effects, everything that was involved to make this movie, the fact it only cost $80 million is wild. It made $350.9 million at the box office.
Do you like horror movies?
Do you like hanging out with your buddy?
Do you like cracking jokes and having a good time?
Do you just like fun?
Well, consider checking out Spoils of Horror. We are an hour-long podcast that comes out every single week.
We're not doing reviews. We're just going to hang out, talk about the movies we love with each other, and hopefully the ones you love too.
Covering everything from the popular, the lost, the forgotten, and the bizarre.
If you're looking for a good podcast and a good time, you're going to want to check us out.
We're on all major podcasting platforms, and you can find us on Instagram and Twitter.
Check it out. We'll see you there.
So, are we ready to jump into the plot of Alien Romulus?
Sure.
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it.
It's been a while, but let's go. It is time to dissect that film. The movie opens to a ship waking up and Mother also waking up because she's the one who kind of controls the ship. And we see pieces of the Nostromo, the ship from Alien. Yes, Dan? You kind of look concerned.
I just wish when Mother turned on and started playing Mother by Danzig. It would fucking sweet. Not fit the movie at all.
My way.
Yeah, exactly. Do me kick ass.
But yeah, we see pieces of the Nostromo, and we find out that the ship that wakes up is actually the Romulus and the Remus, which is the ship we're going to be on later on in the movie. But this is the ship that also ends up collecting the xenomorph that is in the original Alien. Like when it gets shot out of the airlock with the harpoon from Ripley at the end of Alien, it like goes into space and then like cocoons itself, or space causes it to cocoon. It's weird. I love this opening scene though, where they bring it in, they like cut into it, and then instead of showing the actual xenomorph, they show the like imprint of it inside the rock.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more like a hibernation type state.
Yeah, that's
like
what I figured. Like there's it's like a defense mechanism, right? Because it's like in space floating around, so it's like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, it's like
it's turtle shell.
Yeah, or like amphibians. And there's amphibians and fish and stuff like that in Africa. That when they go through the dry season, it becomes arid. They'll like make essentially like a cocoon of like mud and stuff that'll keep them alive for months and months and months until it rains again.
Right. Perfect organism.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Sure. I don't know. They keep saying
designed,
that. It's like,
man.
is it?
It's
okay.
designed. Sure. So far.
Right.
Yeah. I love the score. I love the chanting, the choir that's playing during this whole thing that just is, it's supposed to just make it super tense. You also have like the scientists that are very like robotic as they're like operating on this thing and bringing it out. We then there's this girl just sitting on a mountainside, like looking off. She's daydreaming, but then you find out she is on a shitty ass planet, and it's a nightmare. It's
shitty ass people.
Yeah,
Same girl.
It's a mining planet owned by Weyland-Yutani, who we've talked about many times over the course of this franchise. And this planet is called Jackson Star. At least the station's called Jackson Star.
Sounds like a fucking band.
There is one called Jack Star Burning Star, so it's really close.
It was one of the Jackson brothers who didn't do anything. He was like, I'm going to make a band. It's called Jackson Star. And it's like,
I think I'm thinking of like the Jackson 5, and was it Jefferson Starship or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
It was the one Jackson that had too deep of a voice. It's like, I'm going to go sing for myself now.
He'll never work. Got to get him out of here. Go make your own band.
We meet Rain and Andy, and Andy. We find out very early that Andy is a android, or a synthetic, as they call him in this movie, in this franchise, and he tells a lot of dad jokes because you find out that her dad found him and like reprogrammed him, or like brought him back and incorporated a lot of his dad jokes into him. So that's pretty much all he does is tell.
I love his dad jokes.
Yeah, they're great.
It's
what, Dan?
Nothing.
He gave the same facial disappointment he gives me when I tell my dad jokes.
It hurts. Dabby. It's worse than the deaths in the movie. It's just like, no, I like Andy. Carry on.
Carry on.
So they want to get the hell out of here. And Rain is like, I've done enough time in the mines. I'm getting off this planet. So she goes to whoever this person is to pretty much get her papers to be able to leave the planet. And they're like, nope, we got to bump up your quota. Another like 20,000, whatever they consider like units or whatever the heck they're digging for. And so you'll be good for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
While
Space DMV. That's what I call
Yeah, pretty
it.
much. She's just as pleasant as most of the people that work there. As all this is going on, Andy's getting bullied outside by the kids. And this is when you fully realize he's a synthetic, because as he's laying on the ground, like convulsing, he has the milky, gooey stuff coming out of him. And she has to like reprogram him with a flash drive.
I said this when we talked about, we talked about the original Alien with Ash.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the blood and like you see all this stuff. It just reminds me of pasta salad. Every time I see it, just like that cream, I was like, pasta salad.
Shoot.
Watery pasta salad.
Very watery. There ain't no creamy to that.
That's not Alfredo.
Why is it so thin?
Their whole plan is they want to go to Yavago, which is just like, it's a terraform planet. I guess it's not owned by Weyland-Yutani. So they're just
out of the outer rim almost, if you want to call it that. Yeah. And
yeah, that's pretty much all she states, is that that's where she wants to go. And so yeah, she's called by her, I'm guessing, ex-boyfriend. At least they must have been in a relationship at some point, that you kind of get that feeling.
That's what I took
we go
from
along.
This.
Yeah.
And so they call her up and be like, hey, we got a mission. So come on down here. We'll talk about it. So they go down there and they break it down. They're like, there's a ship orbiting the planet that's abandoned. And we need cryo beds or whatever they're called to be able to get to Yavago, because I think it takes like 9 years to get there. So they want to get these they want to get the cryo bed or pods, and so but they need Andy in order to access the ship, because he is synthetic and he'd be able to access Mother unlike any of the others.
Mm-hmm.
So of course Rain is like very hesitant about it, because she's very protective of him, because he's very clearly he's not fully functioning as a synthetic. Like he's still kind of glitchy, or like he's kind of like a small child. So she's very protective of him. And
They made it feel very on the spectrum. with
Yes.
him,
Yes.
very much.
is
Mhm.
how I took it, with being delicate about it. But
Right.
he's
Yeah.
synthetic. But that's how I kind of understood it.
So she agrees to it, and we also meet the other characters. We meet Tyler, who is the ex-boyfriend. We meet Kay, who is his sister, also, probably friends with Rain based on the relationship. And then we got
Mhm.
Bjorn, who
Is a prick.
Yep. A number one.
yeah, he's fun. But then they yeah, he's a character, all right.
He's
And then-
just Will Smith's character from iRobot. That's all he is.
Yeah,
my
there you
mom
go.
died
Yeah.
from a synthetic, so I'm gonna hate every synthetic I see.
You think he
Yeah.
just punches bottles of motor oil when he goes to O'Reilly's, like
Yeah.
future O'Reilly's?
Stupid synthetic oil.
Bam!
Yeah.
I want conventional. Fuck this. Conventional
Right.
didn't kill my mom. I don't know. Sorry.
It's the dumbest thing to be racist about in this movie. I don't know. It's just so
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a bigger picture going on, and y'all are worried about somebody being friends with the synthetic
Yeah.
and
No.
it living amongst you. It's just
The thing is,
That
is
is
like,
one of the most common things in that universe. They're
Exactly.
everywhere. And
yeah.
it's not just I did kind of chuckle when I finally figured out that they were called NDs was the
yes.
droid designation, and they called it Andy.
Andy,
Like,
yeah.
Okay, that makes I like that.
Mhm.
I think I don't know if it's the Alien franchise, but I know that there's been other movies where, I mean, of course, Star Wars does it, but I know there's other like sci-fi movies that have done that where it's like the actual model number of the android, it turns out to be his name.
Right. It works
Just
for a
an easy-
Right,
name.
yeah.
Yeah. We're not creative people. It's just
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
call it its serial number and it's totally
It's
fine.
Get over here, 17. What?
Be like calling ourselves I'm CHARLIE. That's how you say my name. That's
Oh, God.
We also meet Navarro. She's the pilot. She's also just friends with them all. On Wikipedia, it states that Bjorn is Kay and Tyler's cousin.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't pick up on that in the movie because I
He-
thought that he was the secret father of Kay.
They
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
that's what I
I'm,
figured.
say
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Tyler says, yeah, ignore my stupid cousin over there whenever
Okay.
he's walking over there
All
talking to Andy. And then somehow, what's her name? Navarro Navarro is supposed to be his sister. Somehow through
Adopted
adoption.
sister,
I
yeah.
read because he
Yeah.
wanted groups of siblings. You had, Rain and Andy are brother and sister, basically. Tyler and the younger girl, and then Dipshit and Dipshit number 2 are
Mhm.
brother and sister.
Well, yeah,
I'm not
because
a fan of Navarro either in this movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was
So
when I first saw the movie, and you get the whole thing that Kay's pregnant, right? This happens a little bit later, but you find out that Kay's pregnant, and Rain asks like, "Who's the dad?" And she's like, "Oh, some loser or whatever." I thought secretly it was Bjorn because I missed the line about him being the cousin. So I thought secretly it was him, and she just didn't want to say anything because they all had a negative opinion to him.
That
Yeah.
ma-
I
like,
missed the cousin remark too.
I caught the cousin remark, but the scene later, like on the ship when all the bad shit happens, when it's Kay and Bjorn, they kind of have a weird physical interaction. I think it might be what you think it was initially.
Well, Bjorn
Might be
and
space
well,
test.
Yeah, they had that moment in the hallway there.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
oddly like kind of intimate, like they were like on
Yeah.
each, like dwelling on each, like talking, like or not close, but like close to one another. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Bjorn
and
and Navarro kind of have the same interaction.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
Could be.
I had that same the first time I watched it. I thought him and Bjorn were an item because of how they interacted with each
So I
other.
just thought that was just what he did. He was just very
well,
like,
fuck.
He just
Maybe
hates
it runs in the
androids.
family.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes I don't.
I'm
need all
just
the
saying, if
backstory.
one doesn't want it, they could be like you said, they could be an adoptive relationship.
True.
So
true,
So-
it's-
So yeah, so they get on the ship and they take off, and I go, does Wayland Yutani, does no one care that this
Just
ship is
leave?
just blasting off? Like, see you
Mhm.
later. We told you
For
couldn't leave, but
someone
you can leave.
not allowed to leave, and we're like, oh no, you got to be doing this and doing all that. These people can come and go as they fucking please
Yeah.
off this planet. Now they drop one line that the closest planet to them is Yavara, whatever it was, that's 9.5 years away. So it's kind of like, where are they going to go?
Right.
But also, they own a ship. Like, they could just jump on a ship and take off anytime they want. They could go any part of the planet, wherever they want to go. It made no sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand the
It doesn't
logic.
explain it well of like
No.
how all this is going on. Because I'm like, there's no way there's not somebody going, hey, where are they going?
I know. I just kind of took it like these were scrappy kids who threw together a ship, like patched one up and then,
Yeah.
just launched off. But it still doesn't excuse, like, are they not going to go chasing after them? Like, why are they just letting them leave?
I'm also wondering if they were a different division of the planet. So like you have the mine workers and like they're the ones that like fly the ships to different places to get things.
Well,
maybe
they
I don't know.
have
Could
the
be.
hangar that's full of stuff at the end because they have the cargo part
Yeah.
that gets detached. What I myself, there's no description of it at all, is that's kind of, they're like transport ship, pilots.
Yeah.
But again, that would be regulated. There should be someone controlling who takes off, who doesn't take off, because they're just in the middle of the fucking like trailer park is basically where they're at. And
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I was
I just-
expecting more resistance for sure.
Yeah, I was too. I just had a light bulb go off. In Alien Resurrection, isn't that what Michael Wincott's team was doing? Like, weren't they kind of doing that same thing?
they were
Like, they were-
smuggling people.
Well, yeah,
And
but I mean, it's still
other
considered
things.
cargo, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
jumping from planet to planet.
They were
Well, I mean-
cargo, like, Han Solo flying shipments and cargo.
Well,
These were like, think of it as futuristic dump truck drivers that
Okay.
they're taking what is being mined and delivering it wherever Wayland Yutani.
Okay.
I mean, that's like the Nostromo. They were all space truckers too.
Yeah.
But they're
Yep.
they're
Essentially.
a freighter. So
They were only answering a distress call. That's all they were doing. They were leaving a job in the first one.
Yep.
But yeah,
So yeah, they get above the planet, and you can and this is when you kind of get a full view of what this planet looks like, and it is fucked. Like, it is like volcanic all over the place. There is nowhere they can go other than where Jackson Star is. But they finally get to see the sun because the sun never shines on Jackson Star, and I'm like, I don't think, can you survive with just no sun for that long? Like, they've grown up there, and supposedly the sun never shines there.
it could be. I mean, we're talking, thousands of years in the future, so it could be that they just evolved into
Yeah.
this, and and it gets brought up later. They kind of talk about the fact that humans aren't really meant to be doing this shit that we're out here doing.
Right.
So it kind of, I'm glad I watched this a second time. I would have not picked up on as many small details. Bravo to Fede for going that far into the script and adding to the world building and poking a spot that no one's ever really talked about, which is just the other people not surrounding Ripley. But yeah, if you dwell too much on it, though, you get lost in all of the things, which is what's going to happen here in a minute. When you get to this point, is going to be one of my biggest bitches about this movie here in about 2 minutes when you talk about it.
Is it at 37 minutes and 41 seconds? Because that's where they lost me.
I didn't time it.
I did.
Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, you were talking about references or like subtleties to like
Yeah.
the common man in this era.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else grab the space COVID reference twice?
Mhm.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, at the very beginning, they're like, "You have a cough, nausea, or whatever headache. If you're having problems breathing, go see the emergency." Blah blah. Rook says something about just new variants of viruses coming around every cycle,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is how it
just
works.
didn't click.
This-
Yeah, it didn't click.
This would have been filmed right around that. Still, when they were
toward the
protecting
end,
and
yeah.
masking up, and towards the end of that. So pretty.
I don't know. When
Yeah.
I watched the behind the scenes of this movie, there's no masks.
Really,
There were
That had
nobody
to be
wearing masks on that set.
right at the end of.
It had to have been
the
right when they
requirements.
stopped when they stop making them
Yeah.
mask up. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like the common man. Like this movie takes place in 2142. This takes place 20 years after the events of Alien, and we're still seeing mines having to have canaries brought down into the mines, which is something that has been a practice since the beginning of mining, where you bring a canary down, and if the canary like chirps, it means that like you're losing, or there's like a gas leak or something like that,
if
right?
the bird
or the bird dies, right?
Yeah.
The bird will die
before you.
first, and then you have
a certain amount of time to get out.
I live in mining country, so yeah, that's all around here.
So it's
like that.
It's wild that we're so far into the future, and yet they're still using these practices when it comes to mining.
Makes me think of Simpsons. When Bart falls into the well.
Yes, I just watched that episode. My kids are like obsessed with like watching The Simpsons right now, and we just watched that episode.
Oh no, the canary's dead. Everyone out of the mine. This bird died of natural causes. Everybody back in the mine. Love it.
So they get to the ship, the Romulus and Remus, and you find out that they have 36 hours until the ship hits the rings of the planet they're on, because the planet is surrounded by like Saturn-like rings.
Yeah.
And this planet is actually considered LV 410 or 410.
Yeah.
I just looked that up.
They have no other letters to start this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all got to be LV.
I guess it's because it's not like I'm assuming where they find the Nostromo, where it's probably an adjacent planet. That's probably why they use that lettering, but there are other letters, people. It's letting you know. It doesn't have to be LV.
No, it has to be LV.
Maybe
you're gonna throw up the whole Dewey Decimal System of the future, man. You can't do that.
Maybe LV stands for something.
Could be.
Like when they classify a planet. Maybe. Yeah. Could be.
Life viable. I like that. That
Las Vegas?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Vegas, baby.
That's right.
You look that up, because I want to bitch about the one thing that, especially on my second going, is they're going to the Romulus. They drop dialogue saying, "We found a derelict ship. We found it. Us scrappy miner kids," in both versions of the word miner, found a derelict Weyland-Yutani ship that has pods on it and all this other stuff. And I'm sure we can go get this, and we can steal it, and we can get on there. And we get on this thing, and we find out it is the hub of where they've been collecting alien specimens and shit, because we saw it at the beginning. Did Weyland just go, "We don't give a fuck about the ship anymore," and just let it float out in the sea or in space, and not send anyone to go collect all of the specimens and data and all this shit that Rook throws a fit about later, that is the most important thing to humanity? Weyland-Yutani's like, fuck that planet ship thing.
Maybe that's why they let them go. Maybe that's why they didn't stop them when they went off, because they're going to this ship. So, and they have a synthetic with them. So maybe that is them secretly trying to get it, get them there.
That's a good point.
I mean, if they do that sequel, fine.
I don't know why but why though? Why are they doing that?
176 days is what they say in this. It has been derelict for 176 days.
Yeah.
They answer this.
Okay.
They do answer it in the movie, because I was trying to figure out, I'm glad you said, I was trying to figure out the fucking time frame. Rook says to get a message back to Weyland-Yutani, the main thing, takes over 6 months. It has not been over 6 months since their last communication.
So they were adrift and not able to communicate.
Yeah,
but
they said it would take over 6 months. Yep.
No.
So depending on how far they were drifted from where their original destination, I don't know how long, because I'm sure they're not like, let's just tell
Jack Star, basically.
Yeah. And what I'm thinking is, because when they were originally, the Nostromo was originally sent to collect the specimen, I'm sure it was very specific people were told this. It wasn't just any Weyland-Yutani. It has to go back to a very specific person or place. That's my guess. But that could be their loose explanation.
As someone that's like lived these alien movies for so long, I just remember like in Alien 3, they're at the end of that motherfucker ready to snatch Ripley.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The balcony, because they are there. We want that weapon. We need it. They have bioengineered, like, this. What they got wasn't even from face huggers or anything. They literally like cloned the alien
True.
that Rook talks about. But I'm like, where is Weyland-Yutani? So there's a mine right there, a planet that should have a hub for Weyland-Yutani. But these kids found the ship. These kids
it's
found
true.
it.
And why
I
did
mean,
nobody
it just
Maybe they
Yeah,
knew it was on board and they didn't want to risk. They didn't want to risk the possibility that xenomorph was still running around the ship.
Weyland-Yutani wouldn't have give a shit. They just sent
That's true.
fuck all anybody
Whoever. Yeah.
That's true.
to
And why
go
did the-
get it.
Why did the port, like the spaceport around that, would not have recognized this vessel and not reached out to somebody or
It's
checked
a
it out
space
either?
station. Like it's
Yeah,
not like
it's
a little
huge.
ship. It's just this was now I'm gonna say
You're
this.
not wrong.
I enjoyed this movie a lot, but on second watch, I'm Alien franchise brain starts going, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not buying this, man. I'm not buying that Weyland-Yutani doesn't have contingency plans. I get that the alien fucked everything up, but it went past a colony owned by Weyland-Yutani, and these kids found it before it crashed.
It's fair. You're not wrong.
That was my rant.
That's what we want. We want to express your feelings about the movie and why some things may not make sense. So this is when we fully see Bjorn be a complete utter piece of shit to Andy. You find out about his mom dying in the mine, and the synthetic like saved a bunch of people, but his mom was included in some of the people that died, so that's why he hates synthetics. Then we get the whole gravity generator purging scenes where they're like crawling through a vent. Then they get into this open room, and I love that they just constantly have Bjorn in the bad situation where he like falls from the freaking seal.
Every damn time. I'm like, dumbass.
Fuck
we
that guy.
know this happens. We've talked about it. You felt it, but you're gonna float in the middle of the fucking foyer.
Yeah.
Knowing that's about to happen in about 30 seconds.
Fantastic.
I laughed when he crushed that barrel. That made me laugh.
So they find the pods, but there is only 3 years worth of juice in it, which isn't going to even get. It only get about a quarter of the way there, or a third of the way there. Bjorn continues to be a dick. They get the pods onto their ship, and you find out Dora's pregnant. I'm going to call her Dora because she's Dora the Explorer. Everybody.
That is so crazy. I looked that
didn't know that.
earlier. I was like, why did he say
In the
Dora
live action movie,
Explorer?
not the original
Right.
cartoon. She's not the voice
okay.
of Dora. She was in
Yeah.
that Dora
That'd been
in
fucking
the Lost City,
hilarious.
which actually
I know, that's
isn't
what I
a
was thinking.
terrible movie, by the way. Like I have kids, so it was one of those like, all right, sure, why not? We'll throw it up there, and I actually
We
enjoyed it.
watched it with the kids.
I did, and I enjoyed it, Charlie.
It's okay, you can do that. Also, I just love Weyland-Yutani's product placement always in their stuff, because when they launch
Always.
the pods, they make
It's
the W.
Yep.
When the pods come floating out, I was like, there
Yep.
you go, Weyland. He got his branding from Gene Simmons. He's like, put that W everywhere.
Everything.
Tony Stark levels of egotism.
That's like
Mhm.
Wu-Tang Forever was floating through space right then and there.
That's
So
where
you-
Weyland-Yutani started. Was the clan, the Wu-Tang clan? Like,
Wu-Tang
oh
clan.
fuck!
Oh, so
God.
yeah, this is when Bjorn tells Andy that he can't go to Yavago because it's not a Weyland-Yutani planet, so can't have synthetics there. They're not going to accept him, and he's just being really mean about it. Like really.
How would you
Yeah.
know he was one unless like is they like got like a scanner? Like this guy's fake. Get
Well,
him.
no, they knew
Probably.
beforehand. I mean, they've known Rain for a long
I mean,
time.
like
so.
the other people. Like, what's the issue with him going?
Oh, I don't know.
Shit.
I have no idea. I think it's just him being an ass. But I know that Tyler, explains it to him why he can't go. But
Which I
not
did. I
charging
preferred
ports?
that bad. Well, he couldn't get updates because he's going to be so far away from
Oh yeah.
basically the main hub of Weyland-Yutani.
yeah,
He would he could physically go there,
Be
but
like
he
an
would
iPhone,
probably slowly
like
lose power or die basically,
Yeah.
and just which he's kind of halfway there anyway,
it's-
the way he acts in this movie, first part.
Yeah, it's like when you have an iPhone or an iPad and it just stops updating. That's what
He
will
has to
happen
walk
him.
he has to walk around with the cord constantly plugged into him. The battery
Yeah.
won't charge anymore.
So They go into a room. They find a hole in the floor and a dead synthetic.
Normal.
You don't see what the synthetic looks like quite yet. They find a room with cryofuel because they need it in order to be able to get the right amount to get themselves to Navago. Or what is it called? Yavago? Is that what it's called? Not Navago. Iago from the
Yes.
Iago.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally missed opportunity. They didn't like take the cryo fuel out and be like, all right, everyone, chill. Like nobody does that. Fucking ruined the movie for me.
I mean, that movie has to exist somewhere in that universe. I mean,
it has to. Listen,
Right.
if I'm gonna say this. If cryo anything ever exists, like Demolition Man, like cryo prison ever existed, like and the cops tried to arrest me, my last words would be like, "You won't put me back in the cooler." Like that would 100% guarantee it.
I'd be like, "Is it cold in here?"
Oh,
Good
God.
memory.
That's literally my favorite. Like literally anytime Arnold Schwarzenegger is on screen in Batman and Robin is when that movie is great.
Yes. I love that line. I do it all the time with my Ridley, my son.
What killed the
Ridley.
dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Doesn't even make any sense. All right. As they're taking the cryofuel, it sets off an alarm, shuts the door, and they can't get out. And the only way they can get out is if they take the chip out of the dead, in quotation, synthetic that they found earlier and put the chip into Andy. They end up doing that. It comes alive and then it fucking like growls at them. Like when it comes alive and it's like attacking her after she takes the chip out, it's like, it's like, whoa. I don't remember Ash doing this in the original.
She wants to put the new module into Andy, and I'm like,
Actually, I think it's the same. His scream when he does that, I think it's the same scream when they knock Ash's head off in the original one, and his head's just dangling there, and he's like, ah!
Oh, okay.
I think it's the same sound bite. So they get the chip to Andy, and I do like when they put the chip in, he's got a reboot, and he's just like frozen in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty cool.
And then you
That was
slowly, as everything is happening, so it's not just the fact that the alarm starts going off, it actually turns off it turns the power off to the point where it starts melting the holding cells that are holding the face huggers, and they slowly start falling out of the pods.
I thought that's why when he took the cryo fuel out, that's what.
Yeah,
did that.
the cryo was keeping all of the.
Oh, that's right.
frozen.
Okay,
like-
all right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's why when he tried to pull it out initially, because it's not like stored. They weren't storing it. It was in use. It froze It got that guy's hand.
It got his hand.
Bjorn,
right,
yeah.
Got his
Because he
finger.
pulled it out. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, so it shuts off the power, which then it releases the face huggers, and I love it. This whole scene is great.
Those fuckers move fast, dude.
swimming around and jumping out and jumping at him, and like you get the one where it like attaches the side of his face so it doesn't fully, and you get to see the fucking little dick it's got, like
The wing wong
trying to get in its mouth.
Taste it.
Oh man,
This was Ripley and Newt being trapped with two of them, turned to 11. This is what the Alien franchise has needed for a long time.
Yes,
is a fuck ton of face huggers.
Yes,
going nuts.
The face hugger never gets enough love. And never got enough love in this franchise. You had the original, which was just the one, because of course there was only one xenomorph. In Aliens, there was a few, but you never got to see him in action, other than the scene where I think it was one or two attack.
They had two
Ripley and Newt in that room.
Rourke had put into there, and they were. We only ever saw them in the test tubes, which is like 90% of the time when you see them, except for the one or two scenes when we've seen them when they jump out of the eggs and launch at people, but they've never really done a whole lot of face huggers,
which was not great when we got that slow motion like in Alien versus Predator.
Why?
These were all practical. I mean, there was some CG used for the face huggers in this, but a lot of yes, when they burst out the door, when they escape out of this room, yes, they're CG, but 85% of the face huggers in this movie are all practical.
I mean, could you imagine 20 guys pulling strings to try and pull? They're
all using the RC cars.
The door.
Like,
Oh, they got him attached to
Yes, a fishing line.
Reels.
You're
Yeah.
on the wrong
Yeah.
frequency. Change frequencies. I'm like,
Got me a marlin. There we go. Bill, yours got stuck sideways again.
Oh.
Reshoot. We got to redo it again.
There's one drifting. They put like a drift car frame underneath it.
Tokyo Drift starts playing as it's going around corners.
Yes.
Oh, man. My favorite is when a facehugger jumps at Tyler and Andy catches it because he's fully
That was
rebooted and he
dope.
catches it. Yeah, and then he just chucks it to the corner and it like hits an electrical unit, just blows up.
I thought that was
Well,
pretty cool.
Doesn't Tyler? He gets some wing wong, doesn't he?
He doesn't get it
He gets
fully
some
in his
throat.
mouth. It like fucking he's like trying to fight it off. It's like on the side of his face, and you can see it. Like, which
It's just
again,
teasing
you
him.
don't ever like. I feel like in this franchise, you don't really see the thing that actually inserts the seed into
You don't.
its host. You usually
No.
like you see it in this movie
Just-
a couple times, and there's one
When
scene coming
it's-
up where you're like, oh
And
god.
and when they're on the glass, like after the door closes behind them,
Yes.
and you see it, I was like, oh my gosh! I
The only
couldn't
time
keep a
we've ever
straight face.
really seen it is the one that come alive in the test tube. I forget which movie it was, and you see the proboscis
Mhm.
sticking, moving around hunting, but never to the level this movie goes
Well,
with how it works. Now I've seen the sketches that like pre-production
Yeah.
sketches of it where it shows how the egg gets deposited. Yeah, it's a long motherfucker. It
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
down
So
there.
just tell it your head hurts. It works every time.
Yeah. It's like, no, I have a gag reflex. We can't do that.
No
Unless it-
kidding.
There is no gag reflex on these. There's no bottom. It's all face
There
hugger.
Oh,
is
baby.
just
not.
keep going.
Yep.
I do like, there's one thing I like more about this scene is this really made me, especially on the second watch, really appreciate the actor that's playing Andy,
Mhm.
how he went from that damaged, not quite coordinated character to that instant snap of, he felt like one of the synthetic androids. He was alert. He was attentive, but you saw the change in his face.
Yep.
And
It's
I was like,
Mhm.
perfect.
yeah,
He's got
bravo
the
to
accent.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
'Cause I have
which
things
is his
to say about
natural
Ant-
accent. Yeah.
yeah. I have things to say about Andy later. This would be when I'm like, I really liked his acting chops
Mm.
right there. I was down.
There was the thing that made me laugh was when Bjorn goes to zap one of the facehuggers, and accidentally, he's trying to get the facehugger off of Tyler, and he zaps Tyler to the point and knocks him out.
Mhm.
So he's just like, oh no, as they're like fighting off these things. But they get out. The facehuggers though break out, which is a great shot. I don't care if it's CGI. Listen, if CGI is done right, I have no complaints. And this
It
looked
looked
good when they're all just busting out of there, and then they're chasing them down, and they're like lunging at them. And then, of course, right as that door shuts, when they're back in that room where they found the synthetic, one attaches to Navarro and does the full, attaching to her face, wrapping its tail around her neck.
You
And
felt
everything.
the impact.
Oh man,
when it smacked on her face. I was like, damn, that felt energetic, that
Yeah.
shot.
and
of
she got
just
to do that
boom.
stunt for real, man. They put like a puppet on her face, put a harness on her, and then just yoinked her right across onto a mat, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Fuck
Sold
yeah.
it. It worked. It worked
Yeah. So,
really well on this.
Technically, this part of the ship is the Remus, where we're on for a lot of it. A lot of the grungy shots of like hallways and this room here. This is the Remus.
Yes.
The Romulus we don't actually see until later, which is like the bright labs, like the white walls and all that. So
There's a
that's kind
new
of how
half
you.
and an old half.
Yes.
They dictate it by the technology, and one half
Yeah.
is the Remus, the old one, the Romulus is the new one. And again, it's all the Greek god stuff, Nostromo, Prometheus,
Yep.
all that. I like that Fede kind of kept that same, trajectory with how he built into his lore.
So Andy wakes up the synthetic to kind of get the rundown on how to get this facehugger off of Navarro, because as they're trying to remove it, the tail tightens. So it's going to choke her. So
Yep.
he wakes up the synthetic, which we find out his name is Rook. And he is, of course, a puppet / CG version of Ian Holm,
Mhm.
which this is one of the most controversial parts of this movie, I think, for a lot of viewers. And I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. I'm going
I
And
hate
to be
it.
honest, so here's the thing: when I saw it in the theater, and when I rewatched it when it dropped on Hulu, I've seen this movie like 3 times now. So when I saw it the first 2 times, the effects they did on it just looked rough. So what they did is it's an actual animatronic, and they just CG'd the eyes and the mouth to make it more natural when he's talking. On the Blu-ray, so I bought the 4K Blu-ray, it looks so much better on the Blu-ray. Like it's like they fixed it. It actually looks more natural. Like the way he's talking, the way his face, it didn't feel weird to me.
Fede admitted that when they first did it, they used AI when they first did
Yeah,
it.
see, that was probably the biggest
And
issue.
that
It
was
just
the
looked
big
so
mistake right there. And I can pick apart bad CG, but how many movies are we going to sit here and pick apart de-aging in movies, aging up in movies? I mean, it's just going to happen. The people that are like really upset that it's even supposed to look like Ash or Ian Holmes, I'm like, that fits for me, because
That's what I
there's
said.
probably 1,000 synthetics that look like Andy. There's probably, later on, there'll be, 1,000 that look like Bishop. That it fit story-wise that it needed to be that particular model.
That's
Like,
what
when
I've
you-
always said about that, is that so this is 20 years after Alien, and in the original, Ash was the the science officer, and that's what Rook is. And so in this time frame, it makes sense that they would all look the same. It's the same thing with Bishop. Like when Aliens is happening, Bishop is like a newer version of synthetic. Like he is like
the old
fresh
models
off.
were always twitchy.
Yeah,
That's what he drops that line.
which
in
is which there he's talking about Ash's model. That's why because we get the whole thing with Ripley not liking synthetics because of her experience with Ash. So it made sense to me, and I like that Fede went out of his way to make sure that he got approval from Ian Holmes' estate, from his widow and his family to make it okay for them to use his likeness and everything. I guess the widow pretty much she came out. She was like, yeah, he would have loved knowing that they did this, and so
the fans were trying to throw it in his face that Ian Holmes said no to Isolation, the video game, but they never dug into it to find out why he said no. He was sick. It was right at the point when he got the worst, so he was unable to do it, and he's been pissed. He was pissed off at Hollywood because they basically forgot about him. Like, he was not getting any recognition in Hollywood anymore, and he said screw it. But he always had a love of that character Ash and what that franchise did for him. So I'm sure he got plenty of work right after Alien, and kept going. So it just made sense for me. But I'm interested to hear what Anna has to say about this. I know this was a spicy point for her.
It's only a super spicy point when it's put into context with all the other shit I hate, which is all the other shit that he's pulled from other movies in the Alien franchise. And I'm not just talking about lines. I'm talking about shots. I'm talking about moments that I have written down. We don't even get the full shot of him till 44 minutes, but at 37 minutes, it's shadowed. Any Alien fan who loves the franchise knows at that moment that's Ash. It doesn't matter if you rename him Rook. It's a cop-out because every Alien fan sees Ash. At that point, and then plus seeing it in the theater, I guess, before he fixed it, I watched it on Hulu and it said it was 4K. I didn't think it looked that great. Did it look better? Yeah, but I'm already picking it apart and I don't like it. So I think it looks stupid, honestly. And with everything else, if that was taken out, the "get away from her, you bitch" line.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Everything.
They even try to justify
else.
it in the fucking behind the scenes, but we'll get to that. That's my biggest gripe with this movie, was that the use of that line.
If you take out everything else he took from other movies, then it is a good movie. I actually went into this putting all my trolling aside and being like, okay, I'm just gonna watch it for the first time again. And I did have a lot more positives. It's a beautifully shot movie. It's so like immersive. Like you feel like you're there. The sets were great. The acting was great. It is a great story. I like the premise of it being set 20 years after Alien in between it, but it having its own story and everything going on outside of Ripley. Why do you have to throw some of the best things, arguably to me, from the other movies into this somehow? Why? It was a great movie, and it is a great movie without all that shit. Like, to me, it's just cheap at that point. And I
think because Fede is such a fan of this franchise, it was I think for him, when he's doing it, he's like, I'm paying tribute to the greatness to the great movies that came before it. I think it's more of a tribute to him. I don't think it was, I want to make this cheap. I want to make this a cop out. I want to do all like the things that you're mentioning. I don't think that was his intention, but I
don't
understand,
think so either.
I understand your frustration and with the fact of like the "get away from her, you bitch" line. That didn't come out. That was a line that was said in Aliens, which takes place 30 or 40 years after this movie. So why does that make any sense? Why would that line be used? But also the fact that like Rook says a line later that Ash says in the original.
Yep.
Are they all programmed to say that line? I can't remember the exact. I don't want to fuck up the line, but you guys know what line I'm talking about. It's
you
like
have my sympathy, something like that is the very last.
Oh
line
yeah.
Are they all programmed to say that? Like,
well,
I don't care the fact. I like I just said, I don't care the fact that they used. They did this. They did the Ian Holm thing, whatever. But I'm with you, Anna. It's just like there is frustrating things about this movie where it's like, I get you're a fan, but like just make your own movie.
But you nailed it earlier. Man. You nailed it earlier when you were like, he was a great person to make this movie, but at the same time, maybe he wasn't. Maybe someone should have said, no, that's too much. He didn't have a no guy, pretty much.
No, because he had Ridley Scott telling him yes. But I'm saying this is great. Keep going.
But Ridley Scott has been notorious to go back after Alien films have come out and said, yeah, maybe that kind of sucked and we shouldn't have done that.
Well, I mean, it's fair, but here's the thing: there is going to be a razor line, and lately it's been even more magnified in people's vision, especially with the Marvel movies and DC movies. Is you either, if you want someone to make their own version and make it their own, you're going to have the people that are going to bitch like it didn't feel like Aliens. You didn't even pay any respect to what came before, because that's kind of what happened to Prometheus. Aliens is shoved into Prometheus. Prometheus was never designed to be an alien movie. The studio went, we'll do this if you make it Aliens.
Yeah.
Which is why everything alien on that feels an afterthought.
Forced. It feels forced.
Which it is its own story, its own really good story, which would have, I thought, stood on its own without any tie to the Alien franchise. So Fede is watching where his heroes have already failed doing something that was original in what they wanted to do. Plus, like what Parker said, he wants to be a super fan too, because the super fans are going to go watch this, and he's under a magnifying glass. Can you take it too far? Absolutely. And I think he did in a lot of things. There's also some very, very smart ways he did some stuff in this movie that pay homage without beating you over the head with it, that I only caught on the second watch, and I've never even seen anybody speak about. And I'm saving it till we get a little bit further into the movie, but I didn't hate the guy for this Ian Holmes thing. Like I said, I look at it as I'm okay with it being the same model. If it had been a different one, you would have had a group of people going like, well, it's just acting like Ash. Why not just put Ash in it? Why couldn't they find Ash on the Nostromo? His body was there. You'd have those fans bitching the same amount. Not saying this is not directed to you at all, Anna. I didn't want
that's okay.
That, but I'm just saying, as other toxic fans would be, they'd be like, why not just put Ash in it? And so he's like stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do I put Ash in it and get bitched about it? Or do I not put Ash in it and get bitched out about it?
But there's also, like you said, a happy medium. And I think he found that with Evil Dead 2013. That was a happy medium.
I agree.
Just enough homage. But I think it's better than the original. Honestly.
Rook is overused in this movie. And less would have been way more with that
Yeah,
android in there.
Here's the thing. What if we don't even have an old synthetic? What if we have an old synthetic like Rook, but we don't ever have to see his face? What if he's just there to get that chip out of, and then Andy's the main show?
That's what I think would have been a better thing. Was
exactly.
Or he gets Rook's chip. Rook just dies, like he's fully gone.
Yeah,
and now Andy is the one they have to fight against. Like they had to deal with David and Prometheus and Covenant. Covenant, David, who's the synthetic in Prometheus, who does all the bad shit. He comes back and he's the villain of the movie. It's not even the xenomorph. He's like the reason all the shit happens in Covenant. As much as I Covenant, oh god, Covenant.
They started it perfectly. Is the synthetic is face down, ripped in half, a la Bishop, a la Ash, all this other stuff. She takes the chip out of it. Don't have it come back to life. Just have her go over, take the chip out of it, put it into, don't forgot his name,
Andy.
We immediately get that switch in him. Then he starts acting super cold, especially because dumbass is trying to rip that face hugger off of the girl, and he's going to kill her by doing it. So that's why he's like, well, let's go wake up this other one. Instead of waking it up, it should have been Andy, like physically stopping him, having all of the information downloaded into his brain already from the chip, not that stupid line of, well, I don't have all that information. Let's wake it up.
Yeah.
Have him go nuts. And then about another 30 minutes into the movie, they end up back in that room as they're running from the xenomorphs and facehuggers. And Andy's losing his shit. They've already lost some people. And like, why is he acting like this? I don't know. It has to be the synthetic. Roll its body over, and there's Ian Holmes' face. And then the audience goes, oh, it's a fucking bad synthetic.
Now, I'm okay with that. I'd be okay with that.
You get the reveal. You get the homage. No talking. And Andy is now the villain until she can pull the chip out of his brain.
Charlie, you need to go move to Hollywood.
I keep saying this. I just don't know why nobody listens to me.
You really want to live there, though?
Not really. No. You know what? I feel like I shouldn't have to live there. I can Zoom. I can do this stuff like here. We all don't live in the same area, and we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
I've already got my headphones and microphone. I can be action. No, that's stupid. Don't do that. Go back. Go back. Not that.
So yeah, when they wake up Rook, he tells the story about the xenomorph that came from the Nostromo, and you also see it's dead in the ceiling. It's literally it's a great shot.
Yeah, that was cool.
It literally wrecked havoc throughout the entire ship. It killed pretty much everyone on the ship, but they were able to pretty much clone the xenomorph from, like, use its blood to create other other xenomorphs. Like, they could create their own perfect organism.
Yeah, they were creating facehuggers. They were creating the seeds of what was about to happen. Yeah.
But when they ended up killing it, it burned a hole through the floor, which then caused the big, pretty much caused the ship to, like, off kilter, and it killed a bunch of people. And yeah, it was bad. I do love, that shot though of the, I can't remember what they called the xenomorph from the original. He had a name.
Oh yeah, they called it.
Escapes me.
It's like Buck or something. I don't remember.
It just Uncle looks Buck. Like it's crucified.
Because he has it. Because this xenomorph has like a skull face.
Yeah, which is how it was originally done by Geiger. They had the clear dome, and there's actually a human-esque skull right there that you can see. But yeah, this thing looks gorgeous. The harpoon that Ripley
shoots
is still sticking out of it.
Yep.
Which, look, I get it. That's an homage I would have been totally okay with. But you just told me you guys were testing on this thing and making clones of this damn thing, which means you've had it able to work on it. You don't pull the harpoon out while you're working on it, trying to dissect
they knew about
and do all this.
I mean, maybe they did know about the acid blood.
They didn't know shit. They didn't really know shit.
You're right. But yeah,
I'm not giving them any more credit.
They come up with the idea to freeze the tail of the facehugger to get it off of Navarro. I don't know how it doesn't burn her when they do it, because they have to shoot it on the tail that's wrapped around her neck, so it would actually hit her neck and it would hurt her pretty bad. But yeah, they get it off, and this is when we get the shot of the fucking thing coming out of her mouth. Oh my God. And it's right up. They're like, let's get it real close.
Had to
wrap
have gone to
little-
her
Little-
intestines.
Oh.
Everything.
Eh,
You see the egg
Mm.
as they're
Yeah.
pulling it out, go through the ovipositor.
You're sitting there like, okay, this is Fede Alvarez. This
Yeah.
is what I'm
Yeah.
expecting in this
Mhm.
level of movie. It ain't a tree this time. It's a face hugger going to town. And then I've read on kind of, it's hard to picture because I'd love to see how they actually did that, because that's her. The way they made this silicone thing, and it's almost like it's turned inside out and rolled, and then they were able to pull it onto a like a hollow rod. And the
Mhm.
way it did
And it
that
would
just looked
straighten
like
it out,
It was
yeah.
all unrolling out of her mouth like it. The only thing that would have sold it better is if they'd have done a tiny little CG and had like at her throat.
Oh yeah, where it moves.
Oh, yeah.
Just that, just that little extra
Golly,
something.
dude.
But
bit of-
this is
Add
one
like
of
a
the
guck
more.
guck.
Yeah, gotta add the guck guck.
In the subtitles, it's guck guck. Like,
oh!
Oh, that's what that
Oh.
scene needed. Lighten the mood.
oh, absolutely. dude.
Subtitles.
Oh
Is that her
man.
throat?
So yeah, Andy's like, hey, so it probably finished the job, so she's gonna have to,
Oh,
we're gonna
boy,
have to
did
stop her. And Bjorn's like, nah, and zaps Andy, and it kind of resorts him back to his old way, but then he snaps back into it again and chases him. And I love how he runs. He runs like freaking T1000, man.
He does a T1000
He's
straight
got the
up.
heads
running
as
down
a
that
Terminator.
hallway. Holy shit, I was terrified.
Snatches that door and just like.
Yep, that's like.
I know
Oh
that's-
yes, right.
I noticed that about Andy is obviously outside of like the issues he has prior to getting the chip, obviously has a general functional issue with him. Like if he gets hit too hard, he like resets or like goes into like some
Yeah.
kind of like lock mode, locks up.
Yeah.
So I mean, you see Ash get beat up and other synths and stuff get beat up, but he must be. That's of course they found him, so he was defective to begin with.
Well, he
So-
even says when she puts that chip in him, he goes, even my my motor servos are repairing themselves. So it's like something was like he wasn't updating. Like apparently they can self repair based on
Mhm.
that, but he just wasn't doing it till that chip got put in. So he's
Yeah.
getting better and better, which does kind of suck later when she does pull the thing out of him and he kind of reverts back. I'm like, why doesn't he keep some of what he's already healed of himself?
Yes.
Just a
Uh-huh.
little bit. That was another little inconsistency. It's like,
Yep.
again, that's my favorite, even though he's a bad quotation mark version of Andy, this is my favorite version of Andy when he gets Ash's chip in his head.
It's great because then you get the whole thing where Navarro and Bjorn get back onto the ship. He drops the key after he locks the door, and then of course you get the whole episode with Navarro. McCabe like wakes up and sees what's going on, and this is the chest bursting scene, which is very different from what we usually get. Usually it's like it's your typical chest burster where it comes like straight out the middle of the chest, where this
Yep.
one is like bursting out the side of her chest.
Well done. And
was
they
fantastic.
throw in an X-ray.
Mhm,
in
the
this,
extra
with
Which
the
one.
yeah, you
handheld-
get she picks it up and does it on her arm. Oh, that's cool. And then it
That was when
happens
her
later.
how your bones twist.
Yeah.
And they show that whenever she does. I'm
Oh
like,
man,
you guys nailed it. They said they actually like scanned her for this shot, like got where her bone placement and muscle placement and organs
That's
are. So
crazy.
it's almost like
The
you are
detail.
looking into that actress, and they do it right by making the fast movement with the xenomorph inside of her. So you're
Oh,
not like,
man.
it's not like it's looking at you like an ultrasound, but it's physically moving around in there. And the pain she's selling, like you're just like, this is gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah.
This is gonna
I-
suck.
I wasn't as like I like that they did the X-ray thing, but it was like this really quick. It just felt like a throwaway gag because it was this one scene. Like, look, arm, this is going to be relevant later, and then she
Yeah.
kind of does it, and like, of course, she's got shit going on, and you vaguely see like it moving around, and then she just drops it. It's done,
It
Yeah.
was what
which
I
makes
read
sense
was
in this like the struggle of what's going
Yeah.
on. But go ahead, sorry.
it was an afterthought. They had already planned the chest burster and had it ready to go because they had a whole separate company doing the chest burst.
Yeah.
So they had it going, and then someone told Fede like, well, why don't we show it from the inside? How can we do that? So they added this like handheld X-ray and put
Mhm.
this little bit extra in there. And they even said for such a small snippet of time, it just kind of elevated that shot to be, because it's different. Because otherwise, we've seen a chest burster in every movie. You know,
Yeah.
you've seen it. So let's add the pain of like it's going through the bones, it's moving your organs around, it is disrupting everything inside your body where there's not supposed to be any.
Thumping sound when it's trying to break out of her chest, you're just like, oh my god.
Well,
and then when it does come out and it finally like flops over on her, I was like, that's pretty
Alec
cool.
Gillis and his crew did a fantastic job with the chest burster, because he even states in the behind the scenes where he's like, H.R. Geiger is the one who created the original chest burster, and it was perfect. I just did some tweaks on it, but I kept it pretty close to the original. Like, it looks, I think he said all he did was he included the little arms, because the original didn't have arms.
Mm-hmm.
And then they incorporated this like really cool, like on the dome, it actually it like changes colors when it comes out. It's clear, and then it like fills up with this like black liquid.
Ooh.
Which I thought was really cool.
So
9 puppeteers to do this.
So I will say, I like the chest burster in this because it's a little different, like you said, because they all wouldn't be like the same. They just explode out of somebody's chest, like how it breaks through and it just slowly kind of comes out. It almost really does feel more fetal, like it's just slowly, instead of just like hitting the ground running and then singing about the ragtime gal.
Yes. Yes, we need the Spaceballs version.
Hello,
my
yes.
baby. Hello, my darling.
But no, I just like how it feels more vulnerable in this point, not like you see it in like every other movie where it's just like a fucking RC car and it's gone and it
skirts away.
Which is fine.
It's so good though.
Which is fine. But no, it's fine. I like that, but I just like this different interpretation of it.
This is going to be something that I'm hoping Fede gets recognized for, because you pointing that out is something I caught in this too. Fede likes to drag out the pain. You know, think of Evil Dead whenever she licks that piece of glass and cuts her tongue in half. It's not quick. She slowly does it. Cutting the girl cutting her arm off. It's slow. She messes up. This thing coming out of someone isn't gonna be fast. He wants that pain drug out, and it's very much a Fede making this his own. Just like we see something that's like, oh, that's totally a Sam Raimi thing. Now we can start going, oh, that's a Fede Alvarez.
And I think this scene is so effective because Kay doesn't know what the hell is happening. She hasn't been involved in anything that's happened before.
No, so she's been on this other
she's
shit.
witnessing this going, what the hell did I miss? And then you get the line from Navarro. She's like, don't let me die.
That was
and then it happens, and it was
rough.
great. And then Bjorn sees the thing coming out of her, and he reacts to it. Oh my god, it's great. So when all this is happening, Navarro kicks the controls of the ship, and it like crashes into the station, which then reduces the time from like a day to like 47 minutes. Which, according to IMDb and Wikipedia, as soon as it says 47 minutes, it's actually in real time to the end of the movie. When it says like it's 47 minutes till the end of it,
it's till it touches the rings. So the end of the movie is still a little bit longer, but from that moment till
the rings start,
hits the rings, it is that time in the movie real time.
That's cool.
Rook looks into the compound's integrity. We don't really know what the compound is at this moment. But he also gives, we have a new strand. It'll keep you awake for 5 whole minutes. He gives Andy a new directive, which is because his original directive was do what's best for Rain. Now it's do what's best for the company. So then we get the awesome scene where they get to the room where the face huggers are all inside, and they need to sneak through this room. And so they come up with an idea. Well, Andy comes up with the plan of, if you get the temperature of the room to be the same temperature as your body, then they can't detect you, because the way that they see things is through like predator vision, you know. So so we get that whole thing, and it's like, but don't stress out, don't get scared, don't sweat, because then it'll change your body temperature, and then it throws everything off, and they can see you. It's fantastic. And this is when they actually bump into some of the crew of the Romulus. They're like hanging there. One of them is actually it's Fede Alvarez's body hanging. The one that's hanging there.
Oh, cool.
So in this shot, you see the back of his head is blown out. in the deleted scene, there it actually has a face hugger clung to the back of his head, and then the fingers of the face hugger comes out of the mouth.
Ooh, that's scary. So
Ugh.
why'd they cut that?
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. I was like, that wasn't in the original one. I do like the whole fact that his like head is completely gone, but I also didn't realize it was Fede Alvarez until I watched the deleted scene.
I didn't know what the dude looked like. So yeah, it's one of those things.
He's a babe.
I will say this about this one scene, and this is where I can ignore and suspend disbelief. But when Andy's making that whole big deal, like we can make it your body temperature, which is 98.6 degrees, and you can't get stressed because if you just go up a little bit, it's going to throw everything off. We're going to wait for that room to get that hot, and then they open a giant fucking door to the room.
Yep.
Of a whole nother part of the ship that's not that temperature.
Yeah,
Cold air.
it's gonna.
It's all fucked at that point.
Yep.
Playing out the window. But I could suspend disbelief long enough where I'm like, okay, fine, we got to have some tension in this thing. It's walking across the crocodile pit or something. You got to have it.
Have the face huggers always had claws?
They always had like the fingernails. They
Yeah,
look
but like if you
fingernails.
look at the puppet, it shows it a few times. It's not just like the one; it's like multiple serrations on the back of like.
I never
which
noticed
makes
that.
sense for holding
I
on.
think later they did, but the early ones were smooth.
The
Like,
tail kind of looks like a stingray tail. It looks like it's got a spike at the end.
Yeah, kind of like the xenomorphs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but the
I
thing I
think
was going to
that's
say
been
is,
added too.
did you notice after she gets the face hugger taken off of her? What's her name? I can't think of her
Navarro.
name. Navarro. She has scratches on the side of her face.
Oh,
I didn't see that.
I didn't realize.
Yeah,
that.
you'll notice when she runs back into the ship and looks, and she's got like a few like good sized long scratches on like the left side of her face.
So again, he really dug into this is gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am down for that.
So Kay finds the xenomorph like nest, like it's like the egg or the cocoon that it is crafted. And Bjorn, this is when Bjorn walks up to her and they do that like really intimate stare down at each other, like touching each other's faces and stuff. And then he like puts together a prod and shoves it into the vagina of
Yes. Oh God.
it's 100%
Literally.
vagina, dude.
Literally.
It's Geiger, man. Like, that's all that. I mean, literally, a xenomorph looks like a dick.
100%.
I mean,
He's
100%.
elbow
you're
deep.
telling
in
me
that
this thing doesn't
with
look like
the
a dick?
paddle
No, I don't see it.
You
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
That's what we call a special kind of electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
Boop, boop. But
this I love though.
it's a great
This-
scene. Great scene. It's because
also-
for one, because the shittiest character in the movie dies. But
Well, yeah, but I also love that this added its own layer of lore without fucking up the lore. That there's a secondary stage to the development of
yeah, because we've never
the
seen
xenom-
this. We see
Never
the
have.
chest burster, and then the next time you see it, it's always the fully formed xenomorph. You
Yep.
never see the fact that like
because the other movies need it to be fast. So it
Yeah.
needs to be little and then big so we have that thing. Now that Fede's dragging it out, let's make it into something else. And it sheds its skin too. You see the,
I was like, pick up your
skin
used
hanging there.
your used skin condom there.
Yeah, it's somebody circumcised. But yeah, it turns into this like, and it kind of looks like one of the eggs, which we don't see in this movie, but
No.
it gives us that little bit of throwback to the egg. But I was like, I love this.
It's
I
great.
love that there's another process to how they develop. I'm down for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking about this. It's the same with. Oh, go ahead, Parker. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was like, it's same with the face huggers where they added like they may have always been this way, like the heat and the sound thing, which kind
I
of
don't
makes
think they've
sense.
ever talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like. I was fine with like making it deeper, and then like you said, this extra stage because I think it wasn't 3 where they also found like shedded skin before, but we never got that stage. Just like here's the
Yeah, you
force
never
skin.
saw it. It went from one thing to another. Then there was supposed to be like it could consume a dog. And
I think
there's
it
like
was.
the dog
We always
version.
found. I feel like they
Well,
always
yeah, 'cause
found
the
dead
face hugger
face
got a
huggers.
dog.
They always found dead face huggers. I know in 3 there's
Yeah.
literally a deleted scene where the guy holds up the dead
Yeah.
Yeah.
face hugger. And the
But
thing
we've
is,
seen that.
and the
like,
thing is
yeah.
huge because it's like it's the queen face
It's the
hugger because
queen
they're
face
big because
I
they're
had
bigger.
that
Yeah.
toy.
But the one Dan's talking about, I remember that scene, and it is a large piece of skin, and it's supposed to be like the alien had shed it, but we never see.
Yeah.
You kind of just think like, okay, it shed it off its birthing part, and now it's going to harden into that armor it has. But this one sells it.
Peel
so
the
much
skin
better.
back, get hard. I'm on board. I got you. I'm
That's it,
following.
man.
So yeah, so there's actually two versions of Bjorn's death. So of course in the theatrical version, it is he gets smoked in the face by the tail like blade that the xenomorph has, and then he falls down, and of course the acid blood starts dripping on him, which burns
his
burns
heart
him alive,
explodes
and then his
for no
heart just
reason.
explodes. Well, I mean, if the acid
Gnarly.
burns into his heart, it just causes it to explode. The other version is he's actually when Kay tells him, "Hey, let's go," after he zaps the vagina, they walk away and the tail comes out of it and stabs him in the back and drags him back underneath it. And then it does the dripping of the acid blood, which then kills him in the same way.
Which is fair. Like, we don't see, I mean, too often. I mean, some people get acid, but you don't really like focus too much on the acid kills in the franchise that I recall.
It hurts people. Like in Alien 2, people get hit by the acid through their armor, and then their arm is.
Was that who was it?
burnt
The one who
for a
gets
while.
it gets it in the face when he's
Yeah,
because he's shooting because they don't know it's got acid blood. So you have
You get that one, but even Michael Biehn gets completely fucked up with. That's what's hurting him the most is the acid blood.
yeah.
Throughout
It happens
that.
in Resurrection too. A few times.
Resurrection. When they're doing the ladder climb.
The ladder
and
scene, he
that-
gets sprayed in the face.
Yep.
the blood's
Yeah.
burning him. So yeah, we've gotten it a little bit, and I'm okay with it. But I was also like, for that shitty of a character, I wanted a little bit more. Like,
Yes.
pull his head into that fucking vagina.
Oh,
and then
He's
it turns
going
out it's just
head
a-
first!
It's just a skull. That's
yeah,
just
or
ugly.
or the body falls and there's no head attached
Oh.
anymore.
That's
you
just
know,
some weird
That'd been good.
unbirth shit, dude. I'm just like,
Yeah. Just
Oh.
a reversion of the natural way, man.
which
you know?
we were talking about in the next scene that follows in Earl Parker. It's like when it's actually comes out, like it's like this is like symbolic of baby born. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you got like the placenta and all that stuff.
There's a
So
lot of
wild.
fertility visualization
Yeah.
in this movie in particular, but even in the franchise.
Oh,
there's
absolutely.
a lot
It was all about
birth,
it.
rebirth. Yeah. And I'm glad they stuck with it. And
Oh.
like I said, he just goes that little extra, that little more uncomfortableness about
Yeah.
Fede, and it kind of lands right for me.
Alien, all about dicks and what not to do with them.
Exactly.
That's fair.
The dangers of dicks. Ladies, pay attention. They're
Yeah.
dangerous. Don't
See-
touch them.
So yeah, after Bjorn dies, Kay is like, "I'm out of here," and she runs away. She runs. She finds her brother with Rain and Andy won't let her in. And and I really like this where she's literally underneath the grated floor in the xenomorph, like lands on top of it. You don't see it fully. You just kind of see a shadow going across, and then it just disappears because it drags
Mhm.
two bodies away, which I thought was a cool shot. And yeah, she doesn't. They don't let her in, and he just the xenomorph takes her away. It grabs her and takes her away. You think she dies.
I thought she gets tailed.
She
did
well,
get
that's what you
distracted.
see. Yeah, I think she does.
Through the shoulder,
Yeah.
she got tailed or something like that. Because
Not
it's
enough to kill
doing
her.
what
Yeah.
it's doing what it's done in other movies, and the fans know we're going to see her again.
Yeah.
You know
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
that's pretty much how that goes. But this also is alluding back. This is like a huge throwback to Bjorn's bitch about androids because he's mad that one android made a decision because they're not supposed to harm humans, but it made a logical loophole that if I can save 12, I have to let 3 die.
Yep.
This is Andy's going, if I save 1, we all die, but if I save 3 of us, that 1 has to die. So it's a throwback to him having to make that android choice of who lives or dies. Even though at the very beginning, when she gets to that door, he could have opened it. She could have got in. There was plenty of time that alien would not have got to him. It just opened the door. She's in. Done. They drug it out so far that the alien's like, fuck it, I'm going over to get her.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm tired of waiting. Mhm.
You had your moment, guys. I was not worried about her. Okay, fine. I'll take her.
So they get to the room, to the lab in the Romulus, where the black goo from Prometheus resides. Wow! Woo! You know that Ridley Scott's involved when they're like, we got to include Prometheus in this.
Exposition time.
Yep. Oh my goodness. So there's two versions of this exposition dump. So the version you guys see, of course, is where Rook is on the computer talking through the speaker to them, talking about the goo and what it does, how it's going to help create life and all that. In the alternate version, it's a split between Andy describing what Rook told him earlier. So when Andy goes back to talk to Rook, Rook gives him all that information, and then Andy conveys it to them when they get to the room, but it cuts back and forth. And this is when we actually see Rook as full puppet, because when he's talking, his mouth's just like it's not forming words. So, and the eyes are just like dead. I still liked it. Also, the Prometheus score plays during the scene to kind of be like, hey guys, remember that movie? Remember this black goo?
Remember that memorable score?
That sounds, I actually like that explanation better. Like, because wouldn't it be like, why do you guys talked about having less Rook and just having Andy convey the information he was giving? And I like this callback because I fucking love Prometheus. Covenant can eat a dick, but I love Prometheus. Fucking love that movie. And so I like that. I was like, oh yeah, it's the alien caviar. Got it.
Yeah. You could have literally even had Rook's voice coming through Andy at this point and got to say, you don't need to show him in the computer screen talking to everyone. He's not even in front of a fucking camera where they left
exactly.
him.
How did he slide over? How did he slide over with his goo and cords dragging behind him? And no, it's dumb.
Yeah, camera two down a little close up.
And honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Prometheus either, but I like the black goo aspect and tying it into Prometheus than doing all the other alien tie-in stuff. I would have liked just that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it wasn't Michael Fassbender.
Yeah,
I'm glad
it's
like not showing up because Dave, I fucking hate his character so much. My dad
he's the
didn't
worst.
Like me.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to be and go a little deeper on your own, you can almost like look at where David was a synthetic and he's the one that basically created, the killing machine we have now and found that the goo originally, that somewhere through other synthetics that have been done off of the David platform, that all of them have that little bit. Like this Ash or Rook version was able to go into the archives and figure out how to make this goo based on the what David had discovered earlier. Because we don't
pisses me off.
Yeah, I mean there's again, could have just left that movie be without ever being an alien movie.
So we could do Prometheus, in my opinion. We could do Prometheus and just never do Covenant. Because I don't need. I
don't think Covenant never should have happened.
No, because I don't need this is my biggest pet peeve of this franchise. I adore the Alien franchise. Adore it. And the fact that hey, I got it. Instead of the ultimate killing weapon be created by a far more advanced civilization that has different technologies and stuff, let's just have it be made by a robot that has daddy issues. That's a brilliant idea. That's literally what it is. It's fucking stupid.
All Covenant is let's answer the question of where they go. Why?
With the worst chest burster ever.
Let them get on the ship and go and not know where they're going to end up and leave it there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never needed Covenant. Never needed
that.
I think Ridley Scott was forced to make that movie.
If they never did anything with this one, if it just ends and there's no follow-up to it, great, leave it. I don't need direct follow-up. You could do another Alien movie, but don't be a direct follow-up to this movie. Just let it fucking go.
Right, because he's talking about doing his next one. I hope it's not right after this. I'm done with these characters.
Yeah, we don't need this characters. We got this story.
I know what happens next.
I don't want more Ripley. I don't want any of that. I mean, Ripley's technically dead, but
I mean, this movie, I know what happens next because it's Alien 2.
Right.
Because now this is in between two movies.
Yeah.
So I don't need any other else. Go tell me another story, Fede. Go find somewhere else and tell me another story from another part of this world.
I wish Star Wars would do that.
Yeah, I wish they would get the note, Disney. Disney, you own this too. Don't Disney up my fucking franchise. Okay? Yeah.
Stop.
Get your little mouse fingers out of my shit.
Put the
all right?
down.
Leave it alone.
Oh man. So, yeah, the xenomorphs have been nesting, and Tyler finds his sister because, of course, he did. And they get her down, and then it's the whole thing of like, you should use the black goo. She'll be better if you use it. And they're like, maybe we don't do that. And then Rain sends her up the elevator because Tyler gets snagged by the xenomorph, which I love this shot where he gets grabbed and he's brought up and goes face to face with him. And then you look and it's like the same scene from Aliens where it's all the xenomorphs just crawling along the ceiling, like going towards him. Yep. Oh, so good.
Also, that scene right there was enough of an homage for me to be the Alien 3 shot, like with the xenomorph in Ripley's face. I was like, okay, I see what he did there. But then like 2 scenes later,
they do it
or
again.
However long, they do it again with Rain.
They do it with Rain.
And
I think
why?
that was the shot that was supposed to pay homage to the Alien 3 shot. I don't think it was the shot with
no, but
Tyler.
It's so similar.
But it's very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's literally a xenomorph being like right above his face. But it's the whole thing where it shoots. I think it's different because the fact that it kills him. It uses its mouth tongue.
Well, and it also pisses me off that he whips that gun around like he's getting ready to shoot that entire.
And he doesn't do anything.
And not one shot goes off. Oh, he didn't want the blood to melt down. He's not thinking that. He pulls that gun around and makes the action and sound as if he's getting ready to go out in a blaze of glory.
Right.
Nothing. Yeah. Not a shot.
Yeah, because the whole setup was him sacrificing himself because the xenomorph shoots its tail out to grab Rain and he jumps in front of it. Yeah. And then that whole scene happens. But he gets tongue punched right in the mouth. And we get.
Which I'm glad I did like Little Mouth making its appearance.
Yes.
You always got to love. Hey, look, get back in there, Little Mouth. But yeah. You got to have Little Mouth in these movies.
Oh,
not enough
Family
Little
Guy skits so good. Yeah, and then during that whole thing, Andy gets hit, and it like causes him to malfunction, and Rain's got to go and reboot him. But you also notice the fact that the xenomorphs never attack the synthetics on purpose. Like they'll only attack if they get in the way. That's why like Bishop gets attacked in.
If they're a
Aliens
threat,
or a threat, yeah. But like Andy's on the floor, like convulsing, and you see the xenomorph is like over him, but it doesn't do anything. It's kind of watching him like, what the fuck is going on here?
I did like that they brought back the
floor, the mist floor. Does it make sense here though? Because is it only show up because it's a xenomorph nest?
I was like, I don't know why this is here.
Well, I don't know either.
Because that floor only shows up at where they find the eggs in the original.
Well, it was in one of the hives, I think, in one of them too. But it's basically their motion sense area. Like they know when something's disturbing the fog. That's why it's got that blue tinge to it. Kind of like a spider's web. You touch a piece of a spider web, they all
wait. So the
it.
xenomorphs are causing that?
Yeah, that's from the xenomorphs. That's like an early warning defense for them because it's in their hive.
How do they set that up?
Right, it's actually part of their hive.
They're setting up like a laser grid, like.
It's something to do with pheromones and stuff. Because the other thing that I didn't catch this till the second one. I'm sitting there going, where the fuck are all these from? You realize these aliens, it wasn't that they woke up the face huggers. These aliens have been on this ship the whole goddamn time.
Yeah, they're just on the other side.
Yeah, they have taken over because that's all of the passengers
the crew.
Of Romulus and Remus are over there already. So they were filling and face hugging and doing all this other shit. And no one knew till this big reveal. And I was like, okay, I kind of dig this. On my second, my first viewing, I'm still sitting there going, the fuck did the hive come from?
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to watch something twice to catch it because it's so fast paced.
The fact that that you got to realize that station is huge. It's pretty much 2 ships like connected together.
Yeah, they show that too, which I like.
Yeah.
I have a thought.
Yeah.
And Charlie gave me this thought. What if you're the last dude or woman on this ship full of face huggers? And I just got the image of the meme of the one dude sitting on the couch and just face huggers all behind the couch.
Oh my God. No.
That's only one hole, bro. Only one hole.
Well, I need
Some
someone
face
to.
huggers are
I
getting experimental.
am making this. I am making that happen.
Please,
I am making
please.
that a thing, and I am posting it on Instagram. And hopefully,
Please.
it doesn't get flagged.
Two of them in the back are talking. Why do we always go for the mouth? They have other holes.
Oh, holes is holes, bro. Holes is holes.
Oh my god, I'm dying now. Oh Lord. So
Do you think there'd be so many eggs? It would just be like a pinata. They just explode.
Yeah.
Babies
Well, again,
everywhere.
it's the sperm going towards the egg. There's only one egg, and a million of these little fucking fuckers running around trying to get to it.
Oh my god,
That's face huggers versus a host.
That's
Even
amazing.
more, visualization of fertility in this movie.
Oh,
This is the weirdest
Lord.
gangbang I've ever talked about.
We just unlocked a
Oh.
new kink for a whole bunch of people.
All right. So we get the zero G shootout with the xenomorphs. We didn't talk about the whole again a callback to Aliens when Ripley is shown how to use the pulse rifle. We get that again with Rain and Tyler. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't hate it. I feel like it makes sense. She's never used it before. I don't think we needed to have the same shot, but whatever. It is what it is.
At first I hated the auto aim, but then I was like, if they don't do it, she has to be a Mary Sue and be really good at shooting
Right.
aliens,
Right.
even though she's never held a gun. So, and I was like, and the technology could technically be there.
Yes.
It could be a
Yep.
certain type.
Mhm.
And in Aliens, not Apone, but Vasquez and I can't remember his name. They
Yeah, I couldn't
had
remember it either.
their gimbal guns, but they were also somewhat motion controlled for them
Mhm.
too.
Smart guns.
So
Yeah.
I let this one go. I easily could have hated this.
I hated it at first. When I saw it in the theater,
Yes.
I went, are you serious? Like, we're getting the same scene, but
Yeah.
it made sense because she's never used one before. And I didn't mind the auto aim once we got to the scene where she has to shoot them all. Because it's like, there's no way she's going to hit them all. There's
You
like,
wouldn't have been able to do it.
there's like,
Yeah.
there's like
Fast as
50,
fuck.
there's like 50 of them. There's no way. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. To be honest, I like the 0G, her and Andy having to dodge the acid blood and
I
getting
do and I
through.
Don't.
I think maybe
because-
it's the CG wasn't totally
it's
great.
not so
CG
much-
was not great, but it's also
not
just
so-
like it's a band-aid. Like, you're fucked once the gravity goes off.
Right.
That was my thing. Everybody keeps forgetting the gravity, but also they show a shot of Andy hanging onto the railing, and I'm like, well, he's the smart one. The blood's not down there. He
Mhm.
could have just crawled along the railing under the blood.
It's not as dramatic, Charlie.
She's trying to do fucking Catherine Zeta-Jones and
She's like
entrapment.
shooting the gun to like propel herself too at one point. I was like, holy
Mhm.
shit. Okay.
I honestly, if I wasn't already enjoying this movie, that one really probably would have sent me over the edge going, oh, this is dumb. And then obviously the gravity does turn back on. Does that blood have anything to do to any of the danger to the ship now? No. They all fall.
Well, it
and
does.
Nothing happens from it.
Well, no, when
It does.
when the blood
It does.
falls, it causes a hole, which then
Did it cause a hole?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what
You
was
see it from
sucking
the
down through
outside. You see it just which
That's what's
Yeah.
causing the air from the elevator. The elevator then seals that gap
mhm.
to keep it from. Okay.
So I will devil's advocate this movie slightly and say that is a payoff that they could have easily. They're like, no, I'm not finishing that idea. I could see somebody making that in a film, like, the acid blood, they get around it, and then everybody's fine. But no, they actually like allowed it to conclude.
Okay.
Yeah. He had people would have been even more pissed.
Oh,
then.
fuck,
Like,
yeah, they
okay,
would.
what
It'd
the
been a
fuck have
horrible
we
idea.
done this whole franchise? Why are we even afraid of it?
Yeah. Then I take back my thing because I missed the part that it caused the hole. I don't know what it is. This is also where I get irritated at the Andy bot because she's able to like deprogram him a little bit, and he goes right back into being decrepit Andy again.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nah.
Yeah, I
think
don't like
it's-
that either. 'Cause
I think it's because we had the other Andy like played his had his purpose, and then we gotta go back to the one that we feel bad for.
He was cool though, and I liked him as
They should have
that.
just made him the villain.
Or just have it
been
change his
tragic.
personality, but let the update stand.
Yeah. But no, they
Also,
they gave him a
this-
cool. I mean, this whole elevator scene, which we might as well just get into it. The
Jump in the
elevator,
elevator.
this There are aspects of this next sequence that I love, but mostly I hate this elevator sequence, and it's because of just, for instance, they go up, she falls. Why the fuck does a xenomorph catch her?
Exactly my question.
To do the face-off scene and be cool.
It didn't make sense.
It does actually. It does.
It does.
And this is why I think it does.
What I'm thinking. So
why? Because the xenomorph wants to nest her.
Yeah.
Yes, they are designed to procreate. That is
no, is
what
that
they are
Scorch?
for.
Which the nickname they give the first xenomorph that we see. His name is Scorch.
What? Yeah. What's the electric in its head all the time? Like it has.
Yeah, that's from Bjorn shocking him.
Right.
No shit.
It kept doing.
I never realized that.
The rest of the movie, like it does that close up to her, and you see in the scar, it arcs again, and then it does it one more time.
Interesting. I actually didn't even notice that.
I took it one more from what Dan's saying about the nesting. Is the same reason Ripley was chosen by the xenomorphs, because she would produce a queen. There's no queen yet,
right?
So there's a potential saw in Rain that could produce a queen. Yet they don't dig into it, which yes, that would have been even more of a dig on Ripley. But this is where I got like, how fucking powerful is Andy in this movie? Because he's holding
one arm that elevator.
One arm elevator.
Hey,
when he's trying to open doors, couldn't open the other one.
I'm gonna look at the camera real quick. Hey, tech companies,
close.
when you decide to create, synthetics like this or whatever, maybe don't give them super strength. All right, because it's probably going to turn out bad for you. All right,
just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah,
that's my PSA.
But it's so inconsistent.
Yes.
And
I don't know. I get Dan's point because it makes sense. I get you guys explain like the reason that it would catch her is to nest her, maybe have her house the queen. But
with everything that comes after,
it just feels
it's all a setup. It's a setup for the face-off scene. It's a setup for get away from her.
Which, to be honest, the face-off wasn't. I didn't hate it. It was Andy dropping down and shooting the xenomorph after he shoots the facehugger, which then sets him up falling. And to be honest, I didn't mind the scene until he gets on top of it, shoots it a bunch, and for one, does none of that acid blood spray back at him when he's shooting at it 1,000 times? That doesn't make any sense. But also, the line didn't need to happen. And when I watched the behind the scenes, they actually try to justify using it. Fede goes, somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, what if you gave him a one-liner after he shoots it?" And then someone suggested the "get away from her, you bitch," and he was hesitant. He was hesitant at first, and then he said that they screened it with the line, and they said that fans went crazy for it.
Bullshit.
100% bullshit. No way. I was in the theater. I respect the people in the theater, but inside I was like, I want to scream, be like, why?
You have set up this entire movie to do exactly what it should have done. I don't know what he would have said off the top of my head, but it should have been a dad joke.
Exactly.
Make up your own line.
Yep. It would have been the only time Dan wouldn't have rolled his eyes. He'd have been like, okay,
probably.
I get it. Yeah.
Well, I would have been fine if maybe we didn't. Maybe he just came down like to hop down the ladder or whatever and just kicked it the fuck off of her.
Right.
And then just shot the face hugger.
But also, why would he swear? He's never swore this entire time. Why is he swearing now?
That's the one thing that Upgrade kept.
He's like doing the glitchy. He goes, get away from her, you bitch. And I was like, it's even worse when he does like the stutter. I get that's his character.
Stutter. I hate it.
It's the worst part of the movie. It's my least favorite. When that happened, I went, oh, people are gonna fucking hate this, because I hadn't seen any reviews. I hadn't listened to any podcasts on this movie, and I knew as soon as I saw that, I went, people are gonna fucking hate this scene.
I was keeping
and
away
people
from
are gonna hate this movie because
I saw
of
that
scene.
and I went, that's what Anna hated. That's what it was.
Dude, in the theater, I'm sinking. I'm saying, don't say it, and then he says, you bitch, and I was like, fuck this movie. I'm done.
Lord. All right. Well, the xenomorphs are gone. Kay's back. She gets put into a pod, and the Romulus. Literally, they get off the Romulus as soon as it starts making impact with the rings, which is like what timing, right? To the second. Yeah. And
glad I didn't float in the blood any longer. Hey,
and the craziest thing was, I'm watching it in the theater, going, "Oh, all right, I guess that's how it ends." We get a whole other act, baby, and that is the Prometheus part of the movie, and that is Kay. You find out that Kay injected herself with the black goo, and she goes into the pod, and we get the whole thing where Rain is now in like her sleepwear, just like it's kind of a callback.
It's a throwback to the underwear without being underwear.
It's a tomboy version. It's a tomboy
yeah.
version of Ripley,
and it's fine. No complaints.
Yeah, I don't care. I really don't care. Then she hears screaming. She goes down. Kay is fully formed, fully big belly.
Dude.
Starts giving birth. She gives birth to this like egg that Rain immediately grabs and runs out. And then it starts burning her. So she drops it and it like burns through the floor. And when it starts to open, there's a baby inside.
There's a tiny little
ugly ass
in
baby.
there. Hey, that goo goo
Yeah. And it falls through the floor down into where the storage, where like it's like sand or something down there. I don't know what the fuck
it's
is
the stuff they're mining.
They're mining, yeah.
Planet. I have a question.
All right,
please.
I have a question. This is the only time I can ask this question, but it's been bugging me all day. So they're going into cryo sleep, right, to get to this other planet.
Mm-hmm.
She's pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how is that going to work? Does that stop like the?
To be honest, I
was
wondering.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
That's a good point, Charlie.
Yeah. That's been bugging the fuck out of me all day. Going, well, they like everyone still ages.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
you're
to be honest, I never thought of
That's
it.
a
I never thought of it. Yeah.
No, they don't age. Because Ripley was in containment.
Yeah, for
between
52
1
years.
and 2. For 52 years.
That's right.
Yeah, she was the same age.
Yeah, they don't age.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would stop the development. So basically, if you had a baby, you could time travel.
Yeah,
in theory.
Be a tiny baby and go somewhere for 20 years, and you're still a tiny baby in 20 years.
In theory.
In the Alien franchise, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I'm going.
Please.
No, I'm about to go on a rant. You finish. That's what I was about to say.
I was going to say, Charlie, the same thought crossed my mind when we found out she was pregnant at the beginning. And they're like cryotubes. I'm like, how the fuck is that going to work?
How's that work? How? The baby just like,
freezer, I guess.
I chill. It's all right. I'll wait. It's cool.
It's a subplot that allows them to get us here in the story. And so Fede can pull yet another plot line from another Alien movie.
Yes.
And let me just say, I watched Resurrection for the very first time last year. I had heard so many people my whole life watching movies, don't bother watching 3 and 4. They suck. 3, yes, sucks. 4 was a fucking banger.
The assembly cut
so
of 3,
fun.
I will always advocate for the assembly cut of 3. It's not. It makes it a much better movie.
I love 3. I love 3. But Resurrection's
a lot more fun than people get credit for.
The worst part about 3 is the injustice they did to the characters in 2.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
killing
Bingo.
They
Absolutely.
threw away Michael Biehn and Newt and all that stuff. Yeah, they literally put Bishop in the trash.
Yeah,
so, yeah. I mean, I'll give you, but the acting in 3, the ensemble cast that they have in that.
Charles Dance, baby.
I love him.
Come on,
he was looking fine in that too.
And you have David Fincher at director. Like that was his first movie, and I mean he hated it, but
and that ending, love it when she jumps off that thing into the furnace and the
freaking chest burster comes out right as she's about to
comes out and she grabs it, holds it tight, and falls. Yes.
I want that ending of her falling into the lava, holding the chest burster, and in the background just playing in the arms of an angel.
Oh my gosh!
No,
actually, that's a Mother's Day card you have to make for your you have to make that as a Mother's Day card and give it to somebody.
Thank you for allowing
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Thank you for allowing me to be an endoparasite. Anyway, Alien 3 is one of my favorite kills in the Alien franchise. It's like nobody ever fucking talks about it. We talked about it, we covered it. It's when that one, it's toward the end. I don't even fucking remember, but they're running through all those corridors, and that one dude gets like fucking alien hits him in his head, just smashes into the top of that doorway, and just gets fucking domed, dude. It's so good. Nobody talks about it.
The best alien kill when that lead lands on top of it when they finally pour the shit
and
down
it
on
just
it.
explodes.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
was cool.
but it starts slow.
Yeah.
And it's like covered in that silver goo and it starts cracking and then
shatters like glass.
I love Alien 3. I will fight for Alien 3 till my dying breath. But I do love Resurrection.
Carry on.
Resurrection's awesome.
Oh no, Resurrect. But everybody hated Resurrection that I'd talked to over the years, and I just heard bad things about it. And then I was like, "Why is everyone complaining about this? This is awesome." And I really liked the hybrid in Resurrection. I felt sorry for it in a weird way, and I did feel it for this one a little bit, especially when it's like crawling toward Kay. And we see breast milk is not breast milk. It's fucking goo. Oh my
God. Give me some of that titty tar.
Titty tar.
Also this
that's a bumper sticker.
Also this creature is called the Offspring is a Romanian basketball player named Robert Bobrovsky.
7'7".
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was all practical other than the tail was CG.
I love that it had the little nodules on the back from like the spines from some of the xenomorphs.
It's got the xenomorph tail.
It's like, this looks amazing. And when it stands straight up and it almost is like smiling at her, I'm like, oh, this thing's creepy as shit. This
terrifying.
is creepy pasta shit that you would see on YouTube late at night. I was like, this thing's terrifying.
I was getting Slender Man vibes. But then I remember anytime I hear the name, I just think of the band. And then I think of Free Fly for a white guy. And I'm like, motherfucker.
That's the edit you need for Instagram.
I hate that song.
Offspring pops up and Pretty Fly for a white guy.
So I put the Offspring logo, and it's just the Offspring from Alien Coast.
But like, as weird as this is, it like the creature, the Offspring, whatever. I think it fits it well. It's so fucking weird looking. It's so unsettling.
Yeah. It's terrible.
At least it was a better reason. I think, no offense, like I know there was like Clone Ripley made it in the
that scene
womb.
in Resurrection still gets me when they walk in and they see all the different failed clones of Ripley.
The one that's still alive.
Yeah.
She puts it out of its misery by like setting it on fire. Yeah.
She
which is
freaks
terrible.
the fuck out. Yeah. I mean,
but then it makes me think of Family Guy. Where Peter wishes he had no bones.
Yes.
That's exactly every time. But at least the reason is like I said, engineered baby out of whatever Ripley, instead of it's like she injected herself, and that was the reaction.
This is the DNA thing,
which they talk about in Prometheus, like how it does a random reaction. It makes life, takes life, alters life. It just depends.
Well, it turned one guy into a zombie basically in Prometheus, and then another one. I mean, it had different effects until it created the new face hugger basically that comes out of it. You know?
Which is I mean, it's a great plot device if you need an idea for more monsters. Like you literally have an unlimited idea. Like it just makes fucking anything. Magic black juice.
Mix it up, it'll be fine. You don't. It's the mystery flavor of Mountain Dew. You don't know what flavor it actually is.
It's titty tar.
But try it. It's titty tar.
Yeah.
We all
milk it.
So. So of course, the end of this movie is very similar to the end of Alien. As it gets cold, she's got to get into the spacesuit. They have their final battle. She's got to her whole thing is she can kill it by releasing the cargo hold that's underneath the ship. So she's got to pull 4 levers. Of course, like she gets to 3, and then they fight and stuff. And
this is the video game level of the movie.
Yeah, and then literally
the big bad.
They fall through because the acid from the egg causes a big hole in the bottom, which then they're hanging there, and the Offspring is covered, it got hit by the acid, so it's all burnt up.
Good jump scare. And
it just comes out of nowhere right in front of her face.
I didn't take it as the acid burn it. I took it as all that shit coming out of the ship was basically
it could be either or. It actually makes more sense that that's what it could be.
But the way he cut the sound when she first gets sucked out of there, where there's
nothing.
Barely anything to hear because you're in space. You shouldn't be able to have sound in space. I was like, I dig this. Yes, Anna, I do agree with you. We're rehashing stuff. I was waiting for it to get sucked through the hole like in Resurrection, where it sucked the little alien inside out.
It's like the skin just left.
So
That was it was flapping.
Yeah.
I think
which we should have gotten Jason X. I'm sorry, go ahead.
We should have. They just didn't have the budget for it.
I know.
I know how to film it. They just don't listen to me anymore.
I know.
But I think what elevated this where I'm not groaning so much is this is a really well done jump scare.
Mhm.
This is still, when the first time I watched it, I don't jump very often, but when that fucking face comes out, I'm like, God damn, that thing's fucked up looking. And then, let me pull my rope.
Pull my rope that's wrapped around the last lever. It releases the thing, which then kills it.
And I'll
all while this is happening, I didn't mention the fact that the Rook had control of the ship. She was able to override Rook. Rook's dead now because the station crashed. But then the ship goes back into manual and starts to dive. And so after she releases the cargo hold, she's able to get the ship back going straight just in time because Andy wakes up and is able to get the ship going. Did anyone other than me listen to the screaming from the offspring and think of Anaconda? Because it sounded like the Anaconda screaming.
No, it didn't click for me.
Animalistic sound. I think they said it was something like a which I think is what the Anaconda sound was like a.
Oh no, that was all West. That was all Frank Welker, baby.
Was that all Frank Welker?
That was all Frank Welker.
That some of the sounds were like actual like jungle cats, like distorted, and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of, pull it from here, a little bit of homage, and is it a little too homage-y? Yeah, it's a little bit.
Wasn't the ending? Wasn't the whole false climax thing? Did they do that in Aliens first? Because they like, we're on the ship, we're leaving now, and then the Queen shows up.
It basically is, yeah. Bishop comes back, picks them up off of the exploding refinery. They get up there. You think the Queen died because it comes busting through the elevator, and then they get up there. They're all getting settled in, and the Queen is actually in the cargo hold.
We're making a ride.
Yeah. So kind of a rehash of that. This is where Fede did homage correctly, though. And I alluded to this earlier. And I was like, on the second watch, I caught it a lot better. Some of it's in your face. Rain is Ripley. Okay. We all get that. Did y'all also pick up that they homage every version of Ripley pretty much? That Kay is Ripley from the first Alien, where she's not this hardened, battle-worn woman. She's scared, but she still holds her own.
Right, because in the original, Ripley doesn't see a lot of the stuff that goes on until the end when everyone's dead.
Yes. Yeah.
And she has to fight it.
She's Ripley Alien. Rain is Ripley's Alien 2.
You stop saying Alien 2. It is Aliens, man.
And Alien 3.
Alien 2 is a knockoff that
Alien 2.
Roger Corman probably made.
Romulus is Alien 2 now.
Okay.
Aliens is Alien 3. Okay. We're going to change everything.
We're going to fuck it all up.
No, we're not. No.
Inseminator is Alien 5.
That's it. Navarro is Ripley in Alien 3 for obvious reasons because she has her shaved head.
Yeah, and the chest burster comes out. Right.
The way the chest burster comes out. You have the Michael Biehn character, which is the boyfriend, brother, Tyler. Obviously, Lance Hendrickson. And I only caught it today. The dumbass that we hated when they're all talking about how they used to hang out and they show the pictures. There is literally him in the corner wearing a red bandana and looks exactly like Vasquez from Aliens in the picture. But it's subtle where it's not in your face, but he was able to give each character some kind of tie back into one of the other movies without going, hey, look what Navarro, fine. She could have just had her head shaved, but the whole time I'm sitting there going, Alien 3, Alien 3, Alien 3, Alien 3, every time I saw her on the screen.
And his hair too, even though he didn't wear the bandana, it was very much like that shaggy kind of bowl cut look that Vasquez had going on.
And the video game he's playing when they all are hanging out and he loses, it goes, game over, man. That was another nice. See,
I didn't even catch that one.
I like little Easter eggs, little homages.
Let's just pile another one on the pile.
Yeah. Not the full on let me rip off a movie and make my own movie, which I still don't think he fully did. I think he just made some errors in this.
He leaned a little too hard into
He
it.
did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the end is pretty much Andy gets put in a pod because he's damaged. So she pretty much tells him she's going to fix him. And then she does a final cryolog, which is a thing that is just done in every movie in the franchise. So why not have it here? Like we can't even say that it's stealing it from one movie. Every movie in the Alien franchise has an end of movie cryolog.
And that's the only thing saving it from adding it to the pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. That is Alien Romulus from 2024. Okay, we're going to go around the room, have quick thoughts, our final thoughts on what we thought of the movie. Let's start with Anna because, she went into this
She's so spicy.
disliking this movie. I know she disliked it very much after her first viewing, but I want to know what she thought after watching it again and talking about it. Lay it on us, Anna.
I liked it a lot more the second time. And the little stuff that you guys pointed out that I didn't catch, I would actually like to go back and listen a little better for. And like I said earlier, I think if he took out 90% of the homages and stuff he pulled from other movies, this is a better Alien movie. It doesn't take me out. It doesn't make me sit in my chair and count and write in my notes. This is from this movie. This is from that movie. I shouldn't do that in 2024 with an Alien movie and with Fede Alvarez. And I was like so disappointed in so many movies I went to see this year, last year. And I was like, yeah, Alien, Fede Alvarez, this is going to be a banger. And he shit all over my dreams for a good new Alien movie. Damn you! He's got some making up to do. That's all I got to say. But I mean, I'm a completist. I want to watch the show that's coming out because Timothy Oliphant's in it and I love him. I'll watch anything he's in. And I do still like this franchise, regardless of the duds that happen here or there. And hopefully if he does,
we're gonna cover it together. Me and you. We're gonna do Alien.
The show? Oh hell yeah. Let's do it. I'm down. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you're an Alien fan, check it out because, like you said, it's very divisive. You either love it or you hate it, and I even said that to Pete. I told Pete, I was like, I think you'll like it, and he was like, what does that mean? And I was like, don't take offense to it. I'm one of the weird ones I feel who didn't like it, so But yeah, it is what it is at this point. It's beautiful, and there are some great moments, but too much pulled from other people and other movies.
Charlie.
I enjoy this movie a lot. Visual treat. Absolutely adored the practical, the CG mix, heavier on the practical. The world building it does correctly. I am down for. I can poke holes in anything, especially in something that I've been a fan for 30 plus years. I mean, it's almost kind of not fair whenever, hopefully someone watches this maybe first and goes, wait, there's more? And they go, and this doesn't ruin anything. You can go back and watch Alien after this, or Aliens, as Parker has been so adamant about. But I have one thought that I got to leave with this, and I know it's probably going to upset some people, but Romulus, everything that happens in this movie is Andy's fault.
That's fair. It's a fair assessment.
Everything that happens.
Fuck that guy.
They wouldn't have been able to get on the ship without Andy.
Yep.
Andy decided to wake up Rook. Andy made all the decisions of when people were going to live and when to die. Andy is the reason Rain keeps going back.
I would say the other Andy. It's the other Andy's fault because it's
both
two
Andys.
Completely different Andys.
Both Andys. Because the other Andy is a burden onto Rain. She's hanging on to him for no reason.
Oh boy.
And it's holding her back. And we have other Andy, and that's who she's holding on to. She goes back into the ship to save Andy when she could have got on it with Kay and got out of there. Every bad decision in this movie is Andy's fault.
All right, I'll give it to you.
That's my spicy take on a movie I do enjoy, and I've watched it twice now. I'll watch this again. This will end up in rotation. I had enough fun with this. And I can forgive some things. I do have a habit of it's hindsight's 2020. I'm sure if you talk to Fede now and go, let's be honest, just me and you right here, what would you do different? And he'd be like, oh shit. I have
So much.
I have 7 notebooks, and one of them says, "This is what Anna said." That's one of the notebooks. It literally says that.
Here you go, sir.
Yeah, but this is fun. This is worth a watch. It's a good addition. I like what's considered the bad Alien movies, not the AVP movies, but it's hard to have a bad Alien movie, except for the AVP movies. But yeah, I like it.
Fuck you, Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, you piece of
It's
shit.
the only time I'm going to side with you guys about that. Yeah, he never should have touched this franchise. Bad.
Dan, what do you got
Hello.
for us?
I thought this movie leaned too hard into latter Alien films for me. And what I mean by that is tone it the fuck down, please.
Yeah.
Like,
Amen.
I was thinking Eddie, or not Eddie. What the fuck?
Andy.
What's his name? Not Andy.
Andy.
The fucking director.
Oh,
Alvarez.
Fede.
Alvarez.
Fede. There you go. I forgot the F and other letters. Anyway, so Fede Alvarez. I think Fede Alvarez is an Aliens fan.
I don't
Based
know.
on
He
watching
says
the film.
he says that he is like Alien is one of his favorite movies of all time.
Well, that's true. That's great. But I got a feeling he probably likes Aliens more than Alien. The reason why is because this feels more like Aliens on. Because obviously not everybody wants to go back to like the one Alien. But like
True.
the moment, like, and I like this movie. I did. Just tell everybody just ahead of it, I did. But when we're like face hugger, a lot of face huggers, a shit ton of scuttling face huggers. That's great. But when I seen that in the trailer, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like this movie as much as I think I'm going to, because I like the less is more approach. Like, I don't want to watch Friday the 13th and have 500 Jasons coming after me. I want to watch, like, I want the
want
one.
it. Give it to me.
Very true.
That's fine. If that's what you want, that's
Swarm
great.
of
Jason
Jasons.
XXX.
No, it's like
Triple
100.
X,
It's
Oh,
like
you might get more than you
hundreds of
bargained for.
beavers. Was it hundreds of beavers? But it's hundreds of Jasons.
Sure.
Yeah.
But for me, that's
get where
not
you're
what I
going, yeah.
want.
Yeah.
So, like, but what I'm saying, like, I don't mind a couple. Like, if you had a few xenomorphs or a few face huggers, I just thought they leaned into like the shit ton and the big action set moments. That's not what I want. That's Alien is my favorite of the Alien movies because I like the slow. I like it, how the movie's done, how slow it is, how dark it is, how claustrophobic it is. I like that. And you do get some of that in this movie, but then you get these huge action set piece moments. And I always, not shitting on it, because I didn't mind Alien Resurrection, but I always think that fucking underwater scene in Alien Resurrections. And
That's
I'm like,
scary.
dude, like, I
For me,
don't want, I know that's fine, but I don't want that. Like, I want,
That's fair.
and I know other people do. And that again, you can't
Right.
cater to everybody, but I still like the film. I still, and like, they can be fun. And I like the new creatures that get added. I like the new lore that's added. I thought the beginning was a little too slow for me. And I know how we're setting up Rain and Andy stuff, but then we got like this other crew of people, and I'm glad you pointed out the reference to what they're supposed to be, Charlie. I like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah,
like, you
I
get all
do
these
too.
people, and like the first thing I'm seeing every one of these motherfuckers is fodder.
Oh, there's
and,
no
like,
likable character
Not
really,
really,
in
no.
this movie.
Like, I didn't mind Rain, and I liked Andy. Good and bad versions of him. I like both aspects of Andy. And it fucking bothers me because this whole fucking movie we're talking about Andy, and I just think of Toy Story.
Yeah.
The whole fucking time. Because like I just assume her dad found him and he had Andy written on the bottom of his foot. Like, oh, let's take him home and name him Andy. And like he's like a thing to a lot of people. But to Rain, he's not.
Disney.
He's a person.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Charlie's like,
That's
hold
the
up.
Oh no,
But-
come on now. Don't be talking about the mouse again.
No. I'm not trying to shit on this or nothing. But these are my observations for it.
No,
but like you
100%.
said, the way the film shot's beautiful. The atmosphere's fucking great. I didn't mind the music. It's got some pretty good tense moments in it. And I don't know where I want to put this. I know we're going to talk about it in the echelon of Alien films, but I do like
Mhm.
the movie. But again, not without its flaws. I like the tie-ins, the callbacks. I think they're a little heavy-handed on some of them, but still fun.
I think it's a fair assessment about it.
Mhm.
And I think
I-
I'm with you that ultimately I want to be scared again like I was the first time I watched Alien.
Right.
And
Yeah, because
I thought this was going to be our chance. We've had bombastic alien movies
yeah,
since.
Mhm.
Alien 3 tried.
yes,
It's a
because you just
close
had
tried.
the one.
You just got the one, and they tried, but you lost the claustrophobicness of it because they were in a
Mhm.
huge compound. And I think that's what a lot of people were hoping. They were hoping that this was going to be like a mix of Alien and then the game Isolation. Because
Yes.
when you play that, fuck. Like you got nothing in that game and you're just trying to live, basically.
Yeah, and that's what
back
I
to the
thought we were
old-
gonna
that's
get,
back
because
to Alien, where it's you against one xenomorph.
Right. Which is,
Yeah.
I think, ultimately where someone needs to go back with this franchise.
yes,
Not to be better than Alien, but get us back to that. We don't need the hive anymore. We don't need an army of xenomorphs. We just need one-on-one, one-on-two even, I'm okay with. But get us back to that. Always worried about what's around that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And drag that dread out.
More horror than action.
Yeah, way more horror
Yeah.
than action.
exactly. And I think this is leaning more into the horror aspects because of who did it. But then now I can't think of this group of teens with their robot sidekick, and I just think of a Scooby Doo fucking show. Like, I'm not shitting on it, but that's kind of like a thought I have in the back of my mind.
It
now
does
when I watch
happen
it.
when you go with the younger generation, which I'm not always against, but they fucked it up
Aw.
so many times in other
Andy's their
movies.
Scooby.
Ruh-roh,
Ruh-roh, for real. Big ruh-roh, Fede.
Rasararian, ruh-roh. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Don't be scared to try something new, which
No,
I feel like
absolutely.
he started out doing, and then he just got caught up in the fandom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
it-
did.
I think we all would have done it, especially when you have Ridley and James cheering you on. There's even a thing I read where Ridley told him the first cut of it. He goes, "You've done too much. Bring it back." So I guess there was like a longer cut of this movie.
Of course there was.
And Ridley's like, "Bro, no, you're doing good stuff. Pull it back."
Fede,
Yeah.
come
That's
in.
what we
Come in
got.
real close.
Yeah, Fede, come in real close.
Let's talk real quick.
Right I just want to see Tony Scott smack him. What the fuck you doing?
Yeah. What the fuck are you doing?
Tony Scott. What's Tony Scott doing there? Tony Scott's not even alive.
I said Ridley Scott.
You
Or
said
did I say
Tony.
You said Tony
You
that
said
last
Tony
time.
slapped the shit out of him.
I was- Tony Scott did. That's how mad he was.
His
Tony
ghost comes
Scott
in,
come
just-
in. Yep, backhanded this because Ridley wasn't going to do that. He liked Fede,
Yeah.
but Tony Scott's like, "Let me at him.
Yeah.
I'm going to smack the shit out of him."
Oh, so yes, this is my third time watching this movie, and you know what? I still enjoy the hell out of it, for even after the third time. I actually watching the 4K Blu-ray that I got. It actually looks beautiful. It's a great. Like I said, I think the Rook scenes look way better than the two other viewings. So, the first one in the theater, and then of course the one that Hulu has. This one looks like it looks like it's a different version. It's
possible.
odd, which I'm okay with. So I'll just keep watching this one. The practical effects, the amount of practical effects, the amount of practical sets that they used on this movie. Yes, there was CG used, but they didn't do a lot of green screen work. You could tell like this was all done in frame. Like things just felt real, and that's what I appreciate the most. Yes, the some of the lines unnecessary. The one literally made me physically mad to the point I wanted to scream out loud, and it still makes me mad every time I hear it because it's just stupid. But a lot of those callbacks just didn't bother me like I think it bothered a lot of people. It clearly bothered you guys to a degree, but to me, I don't know. I guess I'm just one of those weirdos that just doesn't care about, like, I love the nostalgia, like dumps. Like sometimes it is overdone, but sometimes I'm just like, okay, cool. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. And to be honest, I think sometimes it's done because of those younger generations who didn't experience the original movies, where it's like, man, we could squeeze it in there. And then when they go back to watch the originals, it could be like, oh, hey, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. It's kind of reverse for what we're dealing with.
That's-
We've seen
that's a
those
fair-
early
a fair
movies.
look. Yeah.
I don't know. I still think it's a great movie. I am definitely going to rewatch it again. It's definitely top 3 for me when it comes it's Alien, Aliens, Alien Romulus, and then the rest of them. Some of the other ones I do have fun with, but I think this is way more rewatchable than anything that comes after it. But that's just me. Now it's time to go over to social media and see what you all had to say about the movie. And we got a whole mixed bag of goodies because, we said earlier, this was a divisive movie. So here we go. We're going to start over on Twitter. Our first one is from All Things Movies, or that movie page. Massive disappointment. Just falls into the same old legacy callback stuff that we get all the time now when there's a far more interesting film buried somewhere in there. Our good friend Dustin from the Flicks and Friends podcast says, give Fede the keys to these sequels. The movie looks beautiful. The practicals are amazing. Sure, could have done without Rook because that deep fake looked pretty bad. But that's it. There is one line in this movie that's considered fan service, and with it being at the end. Our good friend Mickey, or cell phone the Silver Fox himself, says, I loved it. Beautiful cinematography, great sets, intense scenarios, and David Johnson deserved an Oscar. Hey, Internet, Eric here says, loved it. In my top 5 horror movies of last year at number 2. Movies for Days says, a soulless nostalgia bomb loaded with cringe moments and poor choices. Still a decent enough roller coaster of a flick with pizza and friends. I like it better than Prometheus and Covenant, but that's it. And Anthony Hudak.
I kind of agree with him.
Okay. And Anthony Hudak says, generally surprised, and it felt like a true return to form. There's nostalgic callbacks that I could have done without, but the horror and shock were excellently done. Andy and Rain were great. David Johnson deserved some nominations. And then we got a couple over on Instagram. Our first one is from Big Optimist 33, who says, I really enjoyed Romulus. I don't think Andy should have said Ripley's famous line in Rook's CGI was rough. Overall, I really enjoyed the film. And then Bucket of Chum podcast said, a friend of mine just sent me a copy in the mail. We saw it in theaters and I had a blast. I get people's problems with it, but I think it's great. Also, currently playing Alien Isolation, which is also great. Better than Prometheus. All right. Thank you so much for leaving your comments. Make sure to follow us on all the social media apps. We're either at Dissect That Film or Dissect That Film Pod, where I literally post what movie we're going to be covering, and we want you to respond to your thoughts on said movie so we can shout you out on the episode. You know what? I knew this was going to be a long one. There's a lot to talk about. I think we've squeezed it dry. I think we've talked all we can talk about Alien Romulus. Next week, though, is Valentine's Day, everybody. And we're going back to Valentine's Bluff, as we're going to be talking about the 2009 My Bloody Valentine.
Nice.
So, very excited. Last year, we covered the original.
That's a good one.
This year, we're going to be covering the remake. We're very excited. We're actually going to have our good friend, official Joey C, back on the show, because it is a holiday movie. So we have to have our good friend Joey C.
Joey C.
He is good shit. We're very excited. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done this, so I'm trying to remember all the things I got to do at the end of the show. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for almost 3 hours.
Thanks, man. This was fun.
Yes, this was a blast. Thank you for hanging out and talking Alien Romulus. So now it's time for you guys to share what you all are doing and where we can find you. And I don't care who starts. You guys do rock, paper, scissors.
Ladies first. Anna, hit them.
Well, I'll let Charlie talk about Gimme Back, but I'm one of the hosts over at the Barrens Hideout, along with our good friend Dustin and also Little Dustin. And we are a horror podcast. We review horror movies. We also do horror short films, which we've been having a lot of fun with in a series called Tales from the Barrens. And we do our Screambox Essential Picks as well. And try to sell, it's a spoiler-free series where we try to sell each other and the listeners on awesome movies that come out on Screambox.
Good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Charlie.
Oh, it's my turn now.
Yes,
your
it's your
turn,
turn.
buddy.
I am 1/4 of the hosts of Give Me Back My Action and Horror Movies, the podcast. Anna is another quarter of that. Also with our hosts, Nate and Pete. We are, I haven't done this in a long time either. It's been a while since I guest posted. We are a nostalgia podcast every other week, alternating between action and horror movies, mostly from the VHS era, but we've been doing some more recent movies as well, kind of broaden our horizons. And also, I am 1/3 of the Be Action podcast, where me and my big brother Dustin, Big D from the Barrens with Anna, we're all one big happy family. That's what we are.
Yeah, we are.
And the man, the myth, the voice, Mickey the Silver Fox is also on that show. It is on the Gimme Back My Action and Horror Movies podcast channel. There is not another channel to follow. There is not anything else extra you got to do. You listen to one, you get the other. I'm just a giver like that, you know. Also, I don't want to put all the other work into another podcast. It just seems easier this way. But yeah, we're on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you can get podcasts. We are on Facebook under Give Me Back My Action Movies, the Facebook group. Give Me Back My Horror Movies, the Facebook group. And all the shows are on Instagram separately, including Be Action. And wherever else Dustin has opened up a new social media account so he can vote on polls.
To vote, yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, you can find us on Spotify, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Instagrams, Facebook,
We
all
share
that.
all each other out. If one puts an episode out, we're all sharing it out there. Dissect that film.
Mhm.
We're one big happy family.
Yes, yes. And all the links to all those shows are going to be in the description or in the show notes of the episode.
long,
Yes,
really
there's
long.
going to be a lot of stuff in the show notes for this week.
Okay. Just keep scrolling. Just scroll all the way through.
As for us, we of course this is our season premiere for season 3. We are going to be entering into our 5th year of the show. Our 4-year anniversary is coming up in a couple months. I know that Give Me Back My Action and Horror just celebrated their 4 years, so we all 2021 was the year for us.
There was nothing else
Getting
to
this
do.
pod- yeah,
Literally.
right.
Let's just
Seriously.
start podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy we've made it this long. I know it's always shocking, but
Yes.
yeah, we got a lot of milestones this year. I figured I mentioned it. You know, the fact that this is gonna be our 4-year anniversary coming up. Our 200th episode will be as I think this episode is 189, so we got 11 more episodes till 200, which we're gonna
close
hit.
to.
And also, something that we started last year at the end of the year is our once Patreon exclusive show, The Monster Zone, is now a free show for everybody. And we have a new co-host for the show. We have Mikey, or Spectre M91, is going to be an official co-host of The Monster Zone, which is going to be our monthly monster show where once a month we spin a wheel and we talk about a monster movie. I have a bunch of backlog episodes. We're actually going to be releasing 2 a month, where one is going to be a backlog episode and one of them is going to be a brand new episode. So you will be getting a brand new episode this month along with one of our older ones that has been on Patreon. It's kind of, I want to get those out to everybody. So yeah, that is,
Mikey.
so yeah,
Mikey's
we're
I
going
do
to be,
too.
we're going to be doing kind of what Give Me Back My Action Horror is doing with their core show and Be Action. We're kind of doing that with our core show in the Monster Zone, and that's kind of how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. We're very excited about that. Yeah, we're excited for another year. We're literally going into this as we're going to have fun talking about movies. I don't give a shit about anything else that has to do with, you know, numbers and all that. I'm focusing on just having fun and getting to hang out with my friends, talking about movies. And
absolutely.
That's just how I got to do it, or bad things will happen.
Yeah.
Drive yourself nuts, man.
Yeah.
Trust
Yeah.
me. I'm in that seat too.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's and we also have a patreon.com/dissect that film, where right now not a lot of things are going on over there, but things will be happening. We're still in the works. We are going to be continuing releasing the raw cut of each episode. So literally, as soon as I stop this recording will get put on Patreon the next like 3-4 days. So you guys will get to hear all the bullshit that we do before we start the episode, when
I
people
just wanna
take
go ahead
breaks and all
say
that
I
stuff.
did not know about this part at all, so I'm sorry.
Shocking.
For all the stuff I
Charlie,
said.
you can just text me if you remember something you don't want me to include in it. I don't think there was. We didn't listen. I know if we said something we should cut out.
Sorry, Puerto Rico.
Wait, did you?
Don't worry, they deserved it.
Whoa! Oh, that's getting cut. Okay. So yeah, so you'll be getting that still, and then there's stuff coming up in the future. So strap in, and yeah, for $1, you guys can support us financially to help us pay for the things we use for the show, because it's helpful, because it's not free. We also are on YouTube, where you can see the video version of what we do here, which I guess because we do video, we're not considered a podcast. That's news to me.
It's weird, doesn't it?
I don't like that. We're a podcast, man.
Fuck that. No,
yeah.
I don't agree with that rule.
That's
No,
more
fuck
just
that.
poking the bear, whatever. But yeah. Other than that, I don't know if I have anything else. I'm probably going to forget something, but the last thing I do want to mention is we have a new patron. He joined last month, but because we haven't recorded or anything, I wasn't able to shout him out. But our good friend over at Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast, joined us at the $3 tier. So thank you so much,
Captain Steve.
Captain Steve Coates.
Oh,
Captain Steve Coates. Make sure to support him and his show. He's got a Patreon himself where he's doing an entire year where he is celebrating Jaws' 50th anniversary, which we will be also doing at some point this year. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that, but thank you so much, Steve, for supporting us here. And as to all the other amazing patrons, we have Billy Joseph Jr., Corey Morissette, Daniel Collins, Dustin from the Flicks and Friends podcast, Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming, Anna Presley, Doom Generation, Eric Stein, Jason, Robert Stewart, Rudy5453, and the Barrens Hideout Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting us over on Patreon. Thank you to everybody else who supports us just by listening to the show, sharing the show, all that fun stuff. And that's it, guys. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm drained. Everybody else looks the same. So let's get the fuck out of here. Until next time, I am Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. She's not there, but she's there still. We have Charlie from the Give Me Back My Action and Horror and B Action. And we have Anna from Give Me Back My Action and Horror and the Barrens Hideout Podcast. And until next time, we'll dissect that film. Let's go. Get out of here. Bye. Remember, in space, nobody can hear you scream.
Unless you're an alien.
Unless you're an alien. Goodbye!